Well, Abusia for Yamamu, good evening. Ne Akwaba, Jasu Jumedi, and you're live on OK 101.7 FM. You're live with your partner radio stations. Amunim see ye Jasu, the Fahomo Bia TB. UK, NASPA radio, and a US so High Life radio, Wafayanini team or Virginia, Baltimore, Maryland, Potomo DC, you know, more Honum. Tiama, good evening, ne Akwaba. Yes, I'm live also, Kings Jersey Radio or New Jersey, or live, Kings Jersey Radio, Migachu FM. Any could to me for you now, so you may yamam good evening. France of also any Europe for mam good evening. Ewo Adam for Media, Ewo France abroach memo. Your family Vim lady, Efia Pokia. This week the any mad. I'm say and then mini banana and nanaba na more birthday, but the birthday no cry is being overshadowed. Banana ba on castle. You see, I call you the ultimate boss chick. Sister Wepa, yeah, no wo chrome han home. So you'll be all your coward and that's why you're timid and cabananko. When you say Ghana, a man also mukraso, you're a little bold and you are slightly opinionated. People will descend on you and attack you. Unfortunately, said they shot a can, Ghana hana corner village. What you say? And you know, people don't even believe that say Obiye or Ba, she's entitled to opinion, let alone even be entitled to political opinions. And the Oyo Ba now or TV so no. Once she says she supports NDC or MPP, or she decides that NDC problem way or way a problem, and MPP policy way a problem, crap, people will have to be the and come and insult the person. Around here, sending messages, they say, ah, Nasema Okanizona, you people are part of the problem. Obia owe you solution. One to about my journalists say we should tell you what you want to hear. No, you see, everybody is entitled to their opinions. Say the any amber John Dumelo to one day or say honor the or NDC or contest NDC or he has every right to choose NDC. And no pay. You cannot tell him that mom got to join NDC. And I said Nanaba sorry Nanaba so NDC and MPP. She has every right. And no money opinion, just opinion. And yeah by force. And the more attacking Nanaba cheers. Enjoy your birthday. What here? That's just by the way. And then yeah, sure corruption. Yeah, sure corruption. The main issue today we're here, corruption. Said the finance ministry, Kenofurata ministry, Nakasa say about $4 billion and a year lose. 4 billion. Meanwhile, yakwa IMFO, kwaje 3 billion no cry the one conditionalities on the mind, and then the prof back of Professor Akwe. Now the prof which much and they say, Osha Ghana, ye democracy no, I'm why democracy ni ebeye ye no, ye the end ya grow. Because unim say Ghana, yeah, say about democracy 1992, a new constitution, now IMF conditionality. A lot of people don't even know. Unfortunately, social media no a lot of young people do not know. So even the decision to have a constitution in 1992 no was pushed by and prompted by IMF conditionality. Because yeah, under 83 structural adjustment program with IMF. Any idea anko ye. Into coming out of our structural adjustment program, and only structural adjustment program, and with IMF, no, even under a military leader like Rawlings, and no kahuna almost setting up diversity implementation committee at Tonton factories because the factories were not doing well. Into now buying the Sikako Shem Penegu, into as part of our conditions, now IMF for the man anyway that and ammonia diversity. Now you private companies, private companies, ne bar. You see, a lot of times, oh, yeah, Tonton Chroma Factory. We don't even say it in context. We say it and complain about it out of context. There's a reason why Tonton factories, no, Tonton factories, because the factories were not doing well. Mia, ya woman, what tema, Oba baby to say a shipyard, Tema dry dock, ship, almost services ships. Ships, ne batamana, asaya na 411, they are services. It was the only dry dock in the whole West Africa. Ghana, for Sierra Leone for ships to say, in fact, Sierra Leone later on crown number 5, Mr. Nesta Gali, no a penny or gapoha, number 5, to go and establish and improve the port in Sierra Leone. Nigeria crown no more port, no, they bowed to Ghana because Ghana port, it was huge. Young Kwan and was shipyard. It was collapsing because Miami no ko bibini edema yes ye guno. Sika bind the back and find dry dock near this cano. Akaga ye di This is how mismanagement. Now, no, me say ni era Canada Japan kasa okofa Ghana ni say o me manage adwuma ni egu no. You see, he's not saying it just like that. Oh, Ghana for no ankasa ya kire so me adwuma ni egu no. O ma Ghana ni adwuma no egu no. And nanka ye to me hu aban kasa na yakotwetwe fuel wo me yakoton abro ni beye. And because nipa no kasa mrandi na mrandi ni no because oye NDC ni NDC na power ye prosecute no. Or your MPP needs to MPP now power, but no a food soldier, so nobody will prosecute them. Into your blind politics, no. Into your turn, factories, no. There was a reason. Now, no, remember example about Black Star Line. It's one and Chroma the Black Star Line, no. Emma Israelis one year and then go. Yeah, the man called Bibini Ghana and in your go, no. The same thing applies to Ghana. We collapse it. Into here in Ghana, for we must also, take a part of the blame. The reason why we are not even able to hold the balls of our leaders and squeeze it in terms of corruption. She said 30 years near the year 1992 constitution year you may end this near MPP pen power and yet to me manage corruption. Aben be a professor akwe research be a why. Aben be a power be a ku to be the major reason for the overthrow of that government of corruption. Major reason among the lot of corruption. Sikediye from Nkrumah 66. And Nkrumah, the major thing about in the CCC school was that we declared the home president for life. He had hijacked power. Why no who say but apart from that hijacking of power, no, one of the allegations we making against Nkrumah was corruption. So the Ghana Sikako Guinea or the Ghana Sikako Egypt into depriving Ghanaians of what was rightfully their own. Nkrumah free one more mobile, no. The same people who claim Nkrumah was corrupt, no, they were even worse and almost here two or more. Besi a champion so SMC a champion buy it on also the same even despite Operation Feed Yourself any all those things that a champion did on also he was accused of corruption and then at the terminology for to beji governor buy no almost see a champion the Ghana sika mama or the be any man is so yeah of course nobody only say corruption there we catch up some evidence and nay ni biaba and we are able to track first nobody was able to track anything. In fact, President Rawlings in coup 79, any 81 in corruption was a key feature, a key reason why also obey coup. No? In fact, that was the key reason why a champion a FIFA kojina a shoot to corruption. Alleged corruption. Again, it wasn't proved. And then crowd see a corruption. I tell my to me say I bind document away and I wake up parliament and I wake up auditor general and auditor general. Well, a champion more time, no. There was no auditor general report to confirm, say, champion, corrupt, but we shot him anyway. You kuno anyway. And he say, come champion because of corruption. I don't know more you blood on cheese. Almost cried on your coin and enjoy corruption money. No almost sebi almost anti-tambo. It's yet the democracy na ye koye and I'm democracy no. The conditionality IMF what the my say because you perceive democratic inti. Yang constitution from bra. So that the idea was that if there is a proper democracy, if there is a kind of constitutional, it will serve as rule of law basis, and there will be checks and balances. That is why I watch your constitution, or say auditor general. And there should be parliament, where parliament will check the executive. But what if parliament is in bed with government? What if parliament is in bed with government? Who will check who? Because parliament and check it. Say, there's corruption in parliament, there's corruption in the executive, there's corruption in the media, there's corruption in the judiciary. No wonder say Transparency International for report by Ghana has stagnated over the last 8 years. Even 10 years in because from President Mahama time now, and I'm 43%. Yakawa basi today. So the basis for which people voted for MPP say they had the men. They will protect the pest and they will ensure that there will be the right thing will be done. No? The question is, yenya value ana. Ya to aba because you see NDC are corrupt. And the SSI NDC na MPP aba so that they will improve corruption. Yenim say on to me cure. Say the president Kufuor kai no. Corruption no cry the free Adam and Eve. And yen to me cure fine. Yen to me cure cry you be reduce no. The question is adentin also be reduce no. Na NDC or na corruption no. E 43%. MPP buy you have the men. You are protecting the public purse by 43%. Why? What have you done? Nothing. It is technically a kappa with the largest number of ministers, with the men, with the passion, with Niama Oka Senka and technically this is the negative growth. Stagnation, technically by interpretation, a negative growth. Yanko baby, yari mom in corruption. These are the things I gonna for Mr. Modia. Mukodi beef, nechi, we are. Focus your attention on some of these things. Yet the democracy, no, I'm a boy. The 1992 constitution inserted in it as Gracia. Every 4 years, you be two. Apart from Sika, you wasting or corruption, 4 billion can over attack. There's also S Gracia, which is an introduction of the 92 constitution. Before 92 constitution, but not S Gracia, no, it was for workers. Now, collective bargaining agreement our workers sign. No, now S Gracia will say Obia Kofia, Yamau lump sum, now S Gracia for workers. But 1992 constitution, no obey and said there be farmer workers, so workers Obia Cosnet. Who we are mount lump sum. Who say first, no, not civil servant. Obia Kofia or lump sum. Any a term. PNDC Rollins and Coffin a term. And nobody has got I don't come ministers and qua, MPs in qua, judges and qua, Shraj for qua, EFS Electoral Commission for qua, depriving the workers whose money is being used to fund the S-Grashano. Yeah, try the mo. Any S-Grashano limited to politicians and people in the judiciary, any or more other executive branch to say, EFS, other organizations, Shraj and the Omuji S-Grasha. And judges say what Ghana, they retire on their salaries. Supreme Court judges, Court of Appeal judges, no mukofia, pay our origin and one obedia so bewu. But yes, some more S-Grasha, 4 years be calculated the mom. You calculated the mom. It's yeah, democracy need ye. Obe massive wealth away from the people. Away from the people. These are the reasons why I'm comfortable baby cast a process. Change the constitution now. Yeah, radio. Change the constitution. Yes, sir. I'm unfortunate with him. 1992 constitution. Yes, guys, I want more basic no. What him say? No, there you will never hear MPs. MPs are more control about say they to me boom for parliament. They be soon for heckling, abusing each other. They never do the same when it comes to S-Gasha. They never do the same when it comes to among their conditions. Cars, ministers. Conditions no, they even want more. But anytime there's an issue about ordinary Ghanaians, there be how many times do you hear someone come about Senate? Says he can't afford general. It's what it was Senate. It's the end to be a salary so that everybody can get good pension when they are going home. It's the end of corruption once. Over the last 30 years, you better say whether you the democracy now, bro, just say, brony by your Becca, see democracy, yes, equally at the IMF. As long as we refuse to manage our economy, refuse to manage our resources, IMF near because me say IMF conditionality they call a democracy yo. And nema 1992 constitution by Adane Brofo. The constitution is good, yeah. There are portions of the constitution but at least a better chance military the dear so. No abaka se ku obi ankoda na jo ne yekoda. We are looking at all these things. How we because 4 billion, imagine what it can do. What that 4 billion can do. Every year, that money is just going waste. They say party, school buildings, party for energy, including the galamse di ababewi. It is just you made and they will say the I think that the citizens will support the media to demand accountability from leadership. But unfortunately, we have a citizen who have become like foot soldiers. Even media for cry pushing for accountability, then foot soldiers will be attacking media people. And it's so unfortunate because you see, corruption media if you look at conditions of service, sometimes you can say that media for pay better than a lot of people. If you have any ideas about it, let me see. Me wo Dr. Kwewa ha ochradie Connecticut or Ghana ni ochradie political science and international relations that research showing corruption in the tipa where it is coming, and we have to name and shame. Say who party MPP and NDC, if they are involved in corruption, we will name and shame. Because as can you could be a moon crack by now, Ghana will stop importation of rice. Said the Nigeria for importing, stop importation. Nigeria for to be stop importation. Ghana the team any year. Because research now statistics cry 2017, 23% of people admitted to paying and receiving bribes. In 2019, now number cost could do 28%. 28%. Because you know, it's not even reduced you. If 2017 not 23% and and taking bribes are 2019 about 28%, and this cannot be acceptable. What you say, lawyer? You see, Mahmoud, a NDC parliamentary candidate. Lawyer, good evening. Lawyer, also on microphone. No problem. Mama, good evening. Akwaba from Connecticut, right?
Yeah, good evening.
Good. And I will join you here. So Benjamin Boache, Sarah, Albert Ofori, Agbakwe. I see you. I say, thank you so much. Mini Abema Kingsley, so Elikem. Piagano say if you have fantastic topic tonight, pa corruption there. Corruption I bet me a D and Yapa. Anna Charles Opoku, thank you for joining us. I say if you according to what you have been saying, what is your stand on what do you want Ghana politics to be? Well, really, the most important thing is your stand, not my stand. I'm a more elevated journalist phone Drew Estrosa. We are not better or sensible than you. What I said. So, what is your stand? Not what the journalist is thinking. Journalist near one person. You know what is your stand. Prof, Mami starting through Honum. So that I ask you this question. What you are we winning the battle against? Are we even fighting corruption at all?
Who are those fighting the corruption?
According to the last elections here, 2020, the president in his not even 2020, 2017, president in his inaugural speech can say, "Oh no, they are not buying. Will protect the public purse." In fact, campaign time, catch it say they will fight corruption, and they accuse NDC of corrupt. So we knew we were going to get at least better, a better fight against corruption. Into your leadership, the fighting corruption. Campaign so fighting corruption.
All right, let me read something. Then we probably can delve into that, right?
Okay.
Right. We say what the ruling elites, the political actors that we have in Ghana, the ruling elites, they are a very strong force in society, right? The politicians that we have, they are very, very strong in our society. These same ruling elites use the state as an arena to extract resources away from society to benefit their own solidarities, whether domestically or foreign. So you are talking about people coming and saying all those things. The politicians take this money away to benefit people either who are in Ghana or people who are overseas. That is what it is. Let's try to establish that fact. Now, these people are the ones doing these things. But at the same time, we as Ghanaians, we have that assumption that these same officials and politicians are genuinely concerned about fighting corruption. How is that possible? The people, the political elites who are doing these things, then we the people, we have that assumption that they are genuinely concerned about fighting corruption. I don't know how you can be able to reconcile that.
So they are not fighting corruption.
They are the same people who are taking the money. They are taking resources away from society to benefit their domestic people or foreigners. They are the ones doing it.
Okay.
So how can they be telling us that they are the same people, or we should assume that they are fighting corruption?
Okay.
How is that possible?
Okay.
Right. Like what we were saying earlier on, right? It is very, very easy to fight corruption in state institutions. You have Auditor General report come with so many things in it. You're talking about Transparency International, so many things in it. So these things, we know them. These were things that were happening in the 1960s all the way to the 1980s. We know these things, right? But after the 1990s, where we have democracy, where the political actors start participating in development, what has been the record? That is a question that we need to ask ourselves.
Okay.
Right? You can see a corruption from the 1990s is different from what was happening during the 1960s all the way to the 1980s. Right? Because those times we have military leaders coming and be shooting people. But now what we have the ruling elites. When we are talking about political corruption, we are talking about the ruling elites who are taking resources that belong to me and you.
Okay.
We are not talking about somebody going to DVLA to give bribe.
Okay.
That money that I'm giving as bribe, that doesn't belong to the government. When I go to DVLA and I'm going to get a license, I'll pay my license fee. Right? Then I have to get a Goro boy over there, give him some money to expedite action for me to get my license. The money that I gave that person is not government money.
Okay.
It is my own personal money. But what we are talking about here is that belong to you, the resource that belong to all of us. And it's only a few people. They are taking those resources from their personal gain.
Okay. So your definition of corruption is sikano from the system, state resources, and kebetumi use their serve your man for no and a corruption. And yet, obi kwajini ni ade 10 CD ni ade na no nka ho mebo a.
And they say yes since 1960.
Okay.
From 1960 all the way to the 1980s, right? That is what we were talking about, or criminal behavior of people in public office. Don't forget, there's a difference between those who are in public office and those who are decision makers.
Okay.
There are two different things altogether. There are those in the ministry, the chief executive, they are in public office.
Okay.
Those were things that we were doing from the 1960s all the way to the 1980s.
Okay.
Then for the 1990s, when we move into democracy, then we have the political decision makers. They came in.
Okay.
So now the area can say, Sekana belong to all of us, It's the political actors are taking it away from us. Right. That is different from what was happening in 1960s and 1980s. What the Auditor General is doing is something that we have been doing for 1960s and the 1980s. We've been doing it already. And we've been doing it for a long time. So why is MMDA squandering money? They can't identify or misappropriating funds. Why is it something new? We've been doing it since the 1960s.
Okay, so Prof, me pass you back then why are we not winning the battle? Because according to statistical research, corruption is cost because in 2017, 23%. And those who admitted giving bribes, any taking. 2019, number so about 28%. So remember back because I want us to look at say democracy like a branch of your or say, yeah, mom, the Africans, the democracy I'm buying. I mentioned about the cost of democracy to us. I say no for to obey. Yeah, the Almighty Sika Gebet Milesi Hospital Amancofono. Yeah, the Quacoto aba. At the end of the day, if you Ubusan Crofon say, a damn fast one when you do about I will do everything for vote, but very little for Ghana for. But lawyer Magmundo, a lawyer, good evening. Lawyer, as somebody who represents NDC, because you are representing a constituency in the crowd saying. Hello, Council. Hello, Council. Concerns in here from I think we concern Binduri and I think Binduri. Hello.
Binduri. The name of my constituency.
Binduri, huh? Well, let me ask you, is anybody fighting corruption?
For now, no. There's nobody who's fighting corruption. To the best of my understanding of how the system really works these days, nobody at all is fighting corruption. And all the corruption fighters that we used to know has all been silenced. And so, in effect, Obia know how to fight corruption or my Ghana. So say,
has anybody ever fought corruption? So, also say, at the moment, Obia fighting corruption. Has anybody ever fought corruption?
Yes. There is quite countless number of people who used to fight corruption in this country. And so when the question as to whether someone has ever fought corruption or not, yes, the numbers are there. And so all of those who have gone to sleep, they've silenced them.
So, but can you give? I don't know who and who are fighting corruption. Who? How
No.
come? How are you able to arrive at? Me, I say because better of my own say. Why are silencing? Who has been silent? Because I see Obia Jama now kana Matiamidu and who?
Yes, Martinamidu is one of them.
But
And
Matiamidu is at home. Nobody has taken his mouth away from him. And
oh no,
in any case, lawyer, is Matiamidu a corruption institution? Institutions no more, no more. Also, more fight more.
yes, Martinamidu is not a corruption institution, but don't forget that the institutions don't work by themselves. The constitution, these institutions are controlled by human beings. You get it? Institutions don't work by themselves. They are mined by you and I. And so Martinamidu was appointed to lead an institution that was set up by this government when the government appeared to make us understand that it was out to fight corruption at all costs. Not knowing that, yes, because Martin Amido was doing quite well in terms of corruption fight during the days of the NDC, and soon after the NDC left power, Martin Amido was on the NDC what appointees. And so that the government was enjoying it and felt that, yes, if Martin Amido is given a chance to lead or to head the newly established state institution, that's the Special Prosecutor's Office, a lot will come out of it. But when, or as soon as Martin Amido started going after his own appointees, what didn't we see? The government did all that it can to frustrate Martin Amido. And you and I know the caliber or the personality that Martin Amido is. He couldn't take it, and so has to abandon that office halfway. And so that is where we are. And so talking about institutions and personalities again, let's look at Dominico and the auditor's office, what do they call it? The Auditor General Office. That is the main institution that is supposed to fight corruption, that has the mandate to audit all other public offices. We all saw the good work that he was doing and what finally happens to him too. He was also kicked out. For him, he was forced out. And then civil society groups took that matter to...
But lawyer, I'm asking you, sir, and you are NDC. Your party was in power for 8 years. Did you fight corruption?
Oh, we fought corruption.
What shows that you fought corruption?
What shows that we fought corruption?
Because according to the Transparency International report, the corruption perception was 43%. Today, it is still 43%. So what shows you fought corruption?
Yes, we fought corruption in the sense that we all saw, as I earlier indicated, these, what do they call it, corruption fighters, like I mentioned Martin Amidu's name, I mentioned the likes of Manas Azura and Co., Anas Armiao, the popular one when it comes to corruption fight. All these people did their investigations in one way or the other as far as corruption is concerned. And the NDC government at the time, from Professor Mills to His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, acted accordingly. And to some extent, we saw some results. To some extent, yes, there was some, what did I call it, kind of action that saved the nation with a lot of what cost. But that we hardly see it of late. We saw Mata Amidu, even in his private capacity, leading through the Wyoming trial and made all exposures in it. And so, yes, one cannot say that.
Okay, lawyer, you have brought the name Wyoming.
Yes.
And so I don't know if you are doing yourself a disservice, but let me go to Prof and come to you, because from what I know about the Wyoming issue, I remember even Yoko Boss granting an interview and saying that Professor Mills ordered them not to pay, and yet they went ahead and paid. And you are here claiming that you fought corruption. And now, because all the names you have mentioned, they are still working.
But you said
all the names you have mentioned, although they are not institutions, these are all private people who technically are not mandated to fight corruption, but they are all working.
I agree, but don't forget that the Mills himself is an NDC. He was the NDC president, he was the NDC leader, and so if Mills ordered that they should not pay and they goes ahead to pay, who is the Mills are we talking about here? Are we talking of the Mills in NPP?
But it means his word did not do anything. If you ordered that money should not be paid to a particular person, And people went behind him. And you remember how they even described the great loot and share all those terminology.
Exactly.
People were identified in the Rolex scandal as having collected money.
And
that was
all
what
this
was against.
All this was the result of the good work of Martin Amidu. And Martin Amidu too is an NDC personality. And so yes, it all boils down to the fact that yes, the NDC actually fought corruption. We are yet to see an MPP personality who would do a quarter of what Martin Amidu did to what do they call the late males made those orders, to how His Excellency John Dramani Mahama ensured that some of his appointees ended up in court, and so on and so on. We are yet to see one example of a sex activity or sex orders or any form of that act that happens in this MPP regime led by His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa and Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia. And so, to me, with these few examples that I have cited, are clear-cut cases that, or to show that yes, the NDC actually fought corruption during its tenure, though it might or it may have not been enough, but yet there were good signs to show.
Okay. Let me go back to Prof. But lawyer Kwabena, is there anything that you want to add? Because now he's saying that your government has deliberately silenced people.
Miniaba, me da say ma menchia wetifo na menchia minia lawyer. Da mensanso nchia doku biem. Ene wankasa nso. Na emse question na ubusa minia lawyer yia. Wode wada yi. Inyina yehunu se de ne ho si kire no afa. Se oman yi mu si fight corruption a. Ono na ban ifiri aban mu ncheye. And I will be sad as well, no pencil. At the end, we fighting corruption. There was no way Anka and this year mine able to me a fighting corruption. I'm gonna because from the presidency no Kasano na corruption no was at the neck level. Now make up presidency. I'm starting free or no niura or no when you want to open the floodgates. John Dramani.
But you care about who if Obia fighting corruption poda. Into the men busa ni rabia ni adu minim de oba beka say Mahama for.
Mini aba wakoho.
Over
wakoho. Wakoho ti.
You bet me a track car and said the car was in state protocol. And it's not a good example of corruption.
Na mini aba enokra de ka me mo so. Na Airbus report we buy. Yeah, sure. Say we need be can ye. Na
lawyer. He was never identified. Mahama was not identified.
What who say?
Official one. He was not mentioned. His name was not in it. One conjecture. Yes, I government official one. Yeah. Nebe Mahama. He was not mentioned. I did not see his name in the report.
Miniaba, they say, yemi and say, yeah, lawyers. Now, what would you say? Where evidence, irresistibly point to a direction, and not only a friend is circumstantial. Report, itself, spoke volumes about people who were in the helms of affairs, people who were at the pinnacle of the government. It is John Dramani Mahama. The report speaks of people who were entrusted with state power to transact for and on behalf of the state. And yema womo eyeye. Na yebetimi abuboswa bibri, bass branding. Womo ye sika amanfo edi no kwa.
Omo return sika no. Omo return sika no. The money was refunded.
You see, mini aba.
The money was refunded.
Wo me asemi ya yebeka yi. Na mampeni no ankasa. You see, na yekasi yewe Ghana kuraba kusimua. Vice President be anywhere.
Well, lawyer, I'm saying, okay, I'll be back.
The substantive president, ARTI committee is here for investigating. Is it Miniaba? Vice President be anyhow. How one mampeni. ayes ye investigating wa fofi anto ata odi wu free wiase e bi si da wahunu enti corruption there
lawyer to you can't make allegations and just sweep the allegations. Are you saying that Professor Mills was investigating President Mahama?
Miniaba, there was a committee, in fact, from credible sources. The then president, Ura Atamios, ST upset. Ye investigating on one vice president, regarding plain be a koto ya. The koto e na ba akudi echira. Ye busa say na wenzu edi echiri ya e honsem ekoye bibiri ya. Sa time no Ura John Dramani Mahama na vice president.
Evidence.
Oh, ye so Ura Atamios. Yes, ye investigating no. You're investigating where your public knowledge, me name
this investigative report. The investigative report I know, I hear from NIB and BNI and mine NIB was JIDA. Almost committee JIDA to set up and ascertain corruption and also there was some areas, but I don't know the okay. Give us the
me about JIDA the no society. Wouldn't want sempa.
Minim
NCA dear crowd, many of us said they were legal proceedings. And Kofobi prosecute for whooping sums of money and Krofo Edi ewo NCA. Capital venture de a public knowledge.
We are still on the Professor Mills investigating President Mahama. Where is the evidence? Report to Chronosite.
Me no here idea. Bad things or case me fa report to the intro CC me here. But I thought say it was so well known, say. I mean, if I just say it, we will all know. But it was a public knowledge at that time, say Ura Atamios. Now why committee be so more investigate on one advice at that time. And see, ye free hey ye ni hujuman ye musa a public knowledge.
Okay.
Na miniaba. Yeah,
that's sometimes journalists when we are in a difficult position when things happen like that because
miniaba kauma mi flow ya. Kauma mi flow ya. What we say? Ye ba be din komo a e fa corruption no man yi hu a. Ya na nka me pese ye be ko no said ye ko no kra. On say e sha ase no na doc conversation no na me enjoy if we say. Sa de ye ken e ye canker ha ye nyina. Say corruption no more mine bo a say be nka say me MPP ni enti me kuro ni me nkotena so e na NDC ni nso die ni onkotena so o ma ne bebo wo ye nyina ye tiri so enti ye ka no te se fitie mu asemu a te se busuafo a ye si nkonwa ne ye di o ma nkomo ne ye hunu ne puma sibre ye hu aduru a ye de ka no be ye yie ne ye mfa nka no. It is at that point no na ye bibia ebeboa you. But baby, I mean, you are not fire no. Now just walk kind no pe. Then MPP for also you taking position be. They also the defending you. When you also chere wo mo say corruption di ha. Then you can no kra na Ghana for the two aba well over 1 million vote edit ya wo mo a ye nyina ye nim. Nti ho dia na me pese wo mo be ko kra. Na me ni aba on say wo sha ase no. Na wo ka yen democracy no. Any say boya na say emwaye. Na there are a litany of research here. Womu nyina chere se ya me ne wo kase. People are gradually losing interest in democracy. And it's alarming. And states here Kenya African states nko ebi European states, ebi South American states, ebi nso wo ebi bremu ha. Ebi wa manone a wo mu nyina no wo mu so wo hwe kabi mami nkabi na ene ne nexus with development so mo hwe ade papa e de ba o mabrabo mu a wo mu hunu nti no ama wo mu hwe de ni gidie bia wo yen democracy no na papa bi research bi wo mu frɛ no Luman one ne nkrofo ye no 2008 as an research another research group bi so e frɛ mo Videm expert. We also study report no validating the methodology we use here. Now the outcome no ne say no say ya mpe bibi ni anye na de bia ye de ba be the usual political rhetoric ya ye nkrofo no lose confidence in system no a ye de ato ho a ye de ye yamanyo no na nkrofo no so lose confidence was system no mu a ye keka ko wo yo nemu ebi asipen ebi da so sisi wo aman bi so enti na wo se ye hwe na ye de example.
Okay.
Research house be from Freedom House. Almost omunya the same results. Economics intelligence unit for you so another research and videm for no answer will be. Na mini aba ma mefa we create chat research group here from Pew Research Center.
Yeah.
Womono in fact they pulled about 27 countries. And na womubusa womo their satisfaction with democracy relative to womo ankasa womo well-being say nipa. Na ebe yo wan say countries ya na womu no be countries ya ye amanone mpo amai. A whooping 51% say they are dissatisfied with the performance of democracy relative to womu ankasa well-being. A whooping 51%. Womu that is more than half of. Yes. Okay. So we have a whole half of a system na you use no. We do not think say no na die ebebre ya na yade wo se yetena se na ye ka ho asem
because prof raised the issue be earlier about say corruption kese no pa ye esoro de woni woni abema lawyer you see Mahmoud Munyina mo kan say wo accuse NDC for say esoro ho kra na corruption ho ono so ba ono so say mo ba ye esoro ho kra so corruption ho, which confirms their prof kind say esoro ho any the main issue a problem mostly African politics. The council see professional article baby I research I confirm the okay say democracy now moyen yet the end the democracy no is rather increasing the level of corruption because so that for time no even time I know corruption no cry basis for coup d'etat no not corruption no say prof I want you to address omumi the thing that you have heard the NDC and MPP say. What do you think, prof?
Yeah, it was very interesting listening to the two of them because omumi and Ninyano, they are political actors, right? And to Utie, Mr. Mahmoud now, right? When you ask him about corruption, he brought it to the 1960s and 1980s. I mean, corruption in state institutions, which is the work of the Auditor General and all those things, right? So he will be able to give you so many examples. Those were because there's a legal definition of corruption, behaviors of public officials, right? And then it is clearly in our constitution or in our criminal code. So you can easily detect those things that the Auditor General can go and see bribery, misappropriation of funds and all those things, because there are laws over there. Those are legal definition. But if you go to the MPP person, he is trying to talk about political corruption, but also he cannot give you examples.
Oh, am I example? So maybe na me make a chance that they be on slow down because of evidence. No.
The example that he is giving is it doesn't really have an evidence, right? Okay. Let me give you a very good example. Right? If I'm, for example, a minister for agriculture, I'm the minister for agriculture, and I've told you that we can't make a distinction between policy formulation and policy implementation.
Yeah.
Right? The person who formulates the policy is the same person who implements the policy. So I'm the minister for agriculture. I want to go to China to go and buy fertilizers, or there should be, government has a policy to go and buy fertilizers. I came out with a policy. I'm the same person who is going to travel to China and negotiate on behalf of the state. The deals that I make in China to benefit from it. How is the Auditor General going to figure that out?
I said, oh no, the Auditor General has access to the documents, Anna.
I'm talking about negotiation because what you will see is the final document.
Okay.
But you will not know what went behind the scenes.
Okay.
Let me give you an example. I do, like I said, I deal with development issues. For example, I'm dealing with a contract or maybe a business transaction. And maybe the business person said, okay, we are going to offer you 13% discount.
Okay.
Right? On certain things that you are going to buy from us. That 13% discount will not be reflected in the main contract.
Okay, but how would you know, Prof, say you reflect? Because I think I'm with the minutes in Parliament. Say Parliament or ratify international transactions here.
Parliament is going to ratify what has been negotiated.
Okay.
Right. But I'm saying that if it is an arrangement between me and the company overseas, that even though this is the contract that we have, right, you as a facilitator in between, you get this percentage. Because we are talking about a government which formulates and implements.
Okay.
But that is not the way politics should be. There should be those who are doing the formulation of policy. Then they leave it to the bureaucrats to do the implementation.
Okay.
But here is a case you have a political actor who is formulating policy and at the same time implementing the policy. That means negotiations, agreements, and everything. He is the one orchestrating all these things.
Okay, not just a prof. They're okay, not just you are blaming the system. System they want to the NDC MPP to me fight corruption. Because system you want to negotiate, you want to not formulate policy, no, not my implement it. Until not just with this system, no, you have to me fight corruption, no.
That is why I was saying that we have to take into consideration the character and the nature of the state that we are dealing with.
Okay.
The character and the state itself is very corrupt. The state that we deal with in Africa is very, very corrupt because it is the state that engages in development. Right? Let's take, for example, government tells you that what? He has sown this number of ounces of gold. Do you really trust the government that what the government is telling you is exactly what they did?
Okay. And look at there's evidence to show the government reporting in your career. The last time gold sales by Dubai for reporting higher say more gold or Ghana. Meanwhile, government figures was less. That just for baby actually atom gold number Dubai and get captured by national database. But Prof, Tobo me say we are share this issue about democracy.
Correct.
And why democracy and yet for ye before depending on the okay say your culture, your system, your structures, the nature of Ghana for no and your mind. But me person addressing this issue and this in the MPP. The way about issue like corruption and a major issue because corruption at the area Ghana for $4 billion every year. This is a big issue. But the moment you bring NDC and MPP, who omumi enuna atna Ghana leadership so over the last 30 years no. Then acquire where's be. What do you think about that kind of strategy? No? Because also lawyer Boateng I said, as long as lawyer Mahmoud Abeka Modiano, I was also defending her. In that defense, not just also boy NDC allegedly how do you think this issue handle issue no? A bit me solve a corruption issue no.
That's anything America said. The very people that we are assuming, right, to be the one fighting the corruption are the same people who are actually engaged in the corruption. Go to government ministries, look at all the political appointments. Any appointment that is made to any institution in Ghana, there is a political thinking behind it.
Okay.
The person is put there for a particular reason, not necessarily based on merit. Any appointment that is made through a political lens. That, okay, we are putting this person over here because we have a specific reason why he is put over there. This is the problem that we have, right? It's not like he was talking about the West. If you come to the West depends mostly on taxes, right? In African countries, we don't depend on taxes. We depend from what we call rent, coming from gold, diamond, steel, and all those things. So that is why the corruption is very, very endemic over there. In the West, it is taxes which you can easily trace. But what we have over here, government is seeking rent. Let's ask ourselves, how many Ghanaians actually pay taxes in Ghana? How many people pay taxes, like real taxes? It's only a few people.
Okay, Prof, yeah, because taxes also no, even the smaller amount of taxes the issue of accountability, which you yourself were raising, also comes in. How accountable are we to the small resources that comes in? Number two, how do we use Kakrana Ebano? Because corruption you $4 billion, even with the limited resources, no, not $4 billion squandered by corruption, no. But remember hold back because we need to address this issue about systems, no. But about the way you deal with corruption, on Prof crackers by evidence. The two of you at the top, there's corruption in both of you, your governments. Inti I want to mean prento NDC, so NDC is to mean prento. So like Mahmoud, do you understand what Prof is saying? He says that there's evidence to show that between NDC and MPP, there's corruption at the top among the executives.
I agree with him, but I think he was more specific. To some extent, he agreed with me and disagreed with my learned colleague, Lawyer Boateng, because, excuse me, Lawyer Boateng, my good brother, as he rightly said, he was quick to defend. And so went in the usual kind of a serial caller style, because we all know how the NPP government is so anxious, so hungry to prosecute His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, to try to defame him with all manner of corruption or whatever tag that they can to make him unpopular. And so if there was that real evidence, as Lawyer Boateng wants us, and for that matter, our entire listeners, to believe that the late John Mills and then the Airbus saga, they had that evidence. You all know what they would have been doing to His Excellency John Dramani Mahama as we speak. And so, yes, it's really unfortunate, as he initially stated, that the issue of corruption is a serious canker to this country. And so, yes, we should deal with it dispassionately. But, yes, we do not say, or I'm not saying that the NDC do not have its issues with corruption. That is why I rightly or boldly pointed out the issue of Woyomi saga, and was also quick to clarify that, yes, the man who fought out Woyomi for us to get to where we are now was an NDC. He is one of the founding fathers of the NDC. And so, yes, corruption is in NDC, it is in MPP. But comparing the two, and if corruption was one of the main reasons why the NDC was voted out of power, as the vice president is making us to understand, look at where we are now. We all saw him march to the party office to pick or present his forms, as we saw it yesterday. We saw him now run away from some of these things, and he was quick to now talk about digitization, forgotten that you cannot deal with digitization without what? Without the economy. But yes, to me, I don't want to fault the constitution or the laws that we have enacted all these years.
Before you go to the systems, Martin Amidu himself, was he not frustrated by your own government? NDC for no. Frustrated Martin Amidu. All the things he started during your time. He was consistently complaining about how you were frustrating him. Even this Wayome case, the back and forth, to the extent that he, at a point, he had to sue in his own personal, name, not in the state.
No,
in the state,
nobody,
in the name of the state.
Nobody frustrated Martin Amidu, and even assuming without admitting that if there was that frustrating at all, Martin Amidu's sale remains an NDC. And so there was even a point in time that I think Martin Amidu made allegations, and then His Excellency, the late Mills, asked him to clarify within some certain time frame, which he wasn't able to do it. And I think it was true that he relieved him from his post as the then Attorney General. And so nobody frustrated him, as you want us to believe, and neither did Martin.
So if the man was fighting corruption, as you said, the man is still an NDC. Why would you relieve him if he's struggling to get evidence?
Because I've clarified that. He made some allegation. Mm-hmm. He made some allegation. I don't recollect what it was, but you agree with me that yes, that thing happened. And his appointing authority, that is the late president, asked him to clarify, which he did not. Okay. And Martin Amidu, in his capacity as the Attorney General, did not say he's going to court to stop or to prosecute those that involved that somebody stopped him. And Martin Amidu, if there was something of that sort, You have spilled the beans out of the bag for the whole world to see.
He spoke about it in most of his write-ups about how one kasamu pushino, mu frustrating, or kaso pewe mu famano, kaso pewe mu famano. The things Madamidu was doing at the office of the president, the same thing.
No, my dear. I think you are confusing the two. The only time that we had Matamidu.
Hello, Mahmoud. Well, I'm one day. Me person we you love what in here. Prof can say it looks like at the top. No, there's no direct effort to be as someone to fight corruption. Acquire the amo yeah. Where the two ways? No, there are two ways. So what do you say?
Well, Miniaba, MPP abayno. Yejitum adeɛ baako a yɛbaaye ɛyɛ ɛko a yɛde si yɛni so ɛyɛ ketasehye na emu bibibia ɛwɔ se yɛyɛ ne yɛde ko no yɛayɛ akɔ akɔduru baabi na mmom ketasehye ɛko no ɛnyɛ ɛko ketewa ɛden, and it is because actors no a wɔn no scope no ɛso, including yentimemufu ya. Enti anytime a corruption index ebe kosoro no. Wono timemuni a ebia oya aban adwuma bia oya adwuma in the security service ebia or lands commission baby or license office or passport office na wo mu bibia no a wo mu ye at their small corner no. Ye kekani nyina bomu amana kwa akokyere se omanu mu no ketasehye e wo soro. Wahunu na sankofo ya yebubu omudin a omu individual actions nyina culminate into the collective at the top, the corruption index no. Wo mu nyina so ye yetimamufuo yi a ye kase ya. It is ye swani nyina de akwa akoto
because prof asem okay. I say the among Ghana for no they are selecting a few. So I'm kwatena soro. Omo wo soro no na ye policy makers and na prof utremu no. E ho so na corruption dodo no asika aye kan ye bo no pepepepe na efri so ho. Ordinary people dodo say no no kwaje bribe cry bi aketua bi. But so ho na ne dodo ni free. Inti say dey aye na nanom ka say abo bi ebe price free ni ti no. E start free ni ti a. E ti na mo betimi aka say ye fight corruption. Na de mo ye de na prof kan nya sam obi a mu mienu mu show proper commitment some fight it.
You see, Miniaba, yentimi nkase ni tino de no na eye kesia. Anya sa anhwe ya the essence no of fighting it, and we will lose it. Yenkitinkiti ya ye nyina setimamufuo ade a betia me akwa adwuma ye nyina ye musabusa ye ho de ye kwa adwuma mu a ye yo ya ye tete aban adwuma mu a yetua ye kabosom ye wose ye adwuma obi ba ne yekoyi file age se yaji sika oposi ni a wogina kwan ho a wo no so kire se timamufuo ye twu o mafaso a age sika every wo mu butu. All these things and the perception no, and in fact the reality say ketasehye wo ho na etire no so dia ye ken no kre eno no so wo ho aba bia mentena ha enkase bia MPP aba no yensu ye ni problem with corruption. Si fie bia mensa wom efie bia Ghana fo ya ye bi na ye NDC fo Ghana fo ye mu bia na ye MPP fo nti se bi ye nka no te se political party ne de no ye krofufuro bi eti ba bi I know the different group of people be uko Jubilee House wa yenia ye timamfo ya bi ne yetetete e bi kra nya political appointees wo mu bebre no anema e fa won so ba ne nyina no wo mu nyina kra nya nkrofo amampani na yi wo mu yo mu adwuma as civil and public servant wo hunu enti ye ka eno no na mempese meniminu ya no ebekọ ne saade ye nsikire asem no ne ye nka wo hunu na ye nwa asem no ani na yenya a national discussion on it ya.
No, but okay, well, but you see, prof argument so they said the fact that person ordinary Ghanaians be free is even an indication that some person journey from responsibility. You are failing to account. Then now corruption will be Ghana force your corrupt. You are the people who are sitting at the top. Mona ye de Ghana Japadi ashamunsa. Modi na se moko sign paper ba akwa or pepe neko. Figure ya can operate at 3-4 billion. That's a lot of money. how much of this 4 billion a year ordinary people are corrupt? It is
many about me just sure say report on see sika actually Ghana with the presidency. I do not think that is the impression we want to create. Yes, the report did not say anything I make us say the import of conversation no because the moment here you say Jubilee House there Nkrofo bi no omo no te omo they are subject to another jurisdiction be you know na isolate here from you know what it is but a collective the nyina yo obi ayo no office no ye ba no ye ba be ye ho research ye kan nyina bom yes corruption no baby akwa koduro nie
okay
wahunu na no kore aban nkofo bi so a wo mo so wo aban mu enso do wo mo twitwiri keta asese yi bi obi enu obetumi aka se nye sa neti aban mu nkrofo ebi enso eka ho na emo me ba sa ade ne ye aban ba ne pese ye hwe corruption a wo fight na ho ode a wo de ya de edikan se ye sha chi free even ye mra MPP ye ba ye wahunu se eboshe ba ko a ye de she wo manfo eye eketesesa ye ba ye namra kwan so ebe fight ye eno ne ye ba ya office of special prosecutor ya ade hia ye pa ye di hu dwuma eye sa setup no resource the setup na me no ka Martin Amidu ase Martin Amidu MPP abanya mpam no unlike mu amu pam no mu yi na di MPP you see ya na for so me amama ko ba bi a yeah, I'm perceiving a national discussion, but some of these things not a push you to the political dimension. Yeah, I'm Martin Amidu. One see a Jumano, one you view. One no, Edu can be not Ghana for see a baby. The Ababe to me, the amount would be a Yerimsa baby and one I hope was on a quentu. Nebum resources be an Ababe to me, the Ama Martin Amidu. Actually, one dance here by a be pure Becasu, near be an Ababe near the Amano, so any Juma. But for one reason or the other. When said there be a Jumano 1 year, will be to me for so.
Yeah, resign. No, he had the resignation. No, lawyer men taken out of context. There was a couple of series of issues that forced the man out.
You see, I don't know yet.
Because you can deduce one and deduce when the evidence is clear. Well, no letters are no issue. Name someone what showing in our show say that he was frustrated. First, or say office, yeah, man office. Actually, say a man lawyers. Actually, say a man resources. Actually, say Konyo Crane one. There were series of events.
Na mini about no office and I say no office.
No office. Now I'm an office. Now Konyo fighting corruption.
Yes, so ye resources wa. Resources wa na by na committee ediko sa office ni na one dance here by. And no thing I mean person ye be discuss ye be or no motive wa. What the yes sir. But said the Martin Amidu kepia ye no kure dia ene nka ban where the last government was a Ghana for again hu ana yebo mu dimpo ye NDC okay wo mu kura de ensam a waka fa wo mu ho e said the minu lawyer ken wono de omu am twotwomtwo ofiri mu ne baaye ye say aboa no ofiri so mbe ka kire o say odenche mawu aye ni na chinye no tiso wono ana busua no ofiri mbe ka say keta hyehyɛ no say you ne pam no firi aban mu a wo de be compare ye ne a se be yama na dwuma wahunu yes obi enu a wokoto nsa na wohyira ne busuofu anko no ye ba ye ne ke enkofa no so omra me ye adwuma if ye ni intention say adwuma no anu wo ye no ye pese obe fight corruption Kenya obi anhye ye ti enkofa no me you special prosecutor there's an intention here ye de kofa no we should clearly show the political will we should clearly show the political will wahunu
so because in him that Martin Amidu ya announce no mo ye Jubilee I think na me office visa obi kan was our office was say we political gimmick na mo ye I think by the time Martin Amidu resign here no all of us no one can political gimmick or say political suicide because anybody owning political science kakra now the politics will know say mo fa Martin Amidu no the intention was to apart from say fighting corruption was also to gain political capital say Marco for opposition needs to fight corruption. And at the end of Pascal, they say a Pascal boy in so and only a 7. But lawyer Mahmoud, my remember when I'm the only Abema at least they made an effort. Also, I know you say yes, office of the president, the executive, no corruption. It will be a bit of a cast of Mokrano. Mobile most there were records that most there was also corruption, but they made an effort.
Which effort includes
say?
Effort, menu tea, and effort Ben or Timikaye.
And there been a work office of the special prosecutor. Some
No,
woman
but
set up
you
of the
know,
special prosecutor crowd.
you know the reasons.
Mini about or pay effort no cry dia ka be kire onu ana ba mu fu aye prosecute wo mo. A tall list. So pay effort no I will point on one.
Yeah,
Mini about he was convicted in our era. He was convicted in Yeyen era.
They are
Yeah, ba ye no. Yeah, ba ye na case no. Yeah, ba ye na case no. E kwani anu omo fa so anu omo ye no no. Ye be show mu den ye prosecute no ye convicted no. Ye de no to nchen a enkrofo bebre a tall list aminu aba wo ma me kwan a mebobo of corruption cases ya ye ba ye. We have dealt with omumu bi no. Yakọ ebi nso adwane. Some members of Onuana Banya Jampu Bill. I say, see, Omuni Ghana, I yin baby or more. Or my Jampu Bill. I say, see, Omuya fugitives of the law. Onuana members of the own party.
Yes.
Hold on. Let me ask him. And this
is about Yagusu Ayape Womo. Yagusu Ayape Womo, Yenya Womo, they will face the law.
Announcement to say. In
the security and it is not necessarily about a public announcement, but the machine you first why you depend I
want to see whether it is true, sir. And go for Johnny and more show more and pam for political points in our Canada. The men I'm going more.
Se oma mebra mebubo sa nkrofo yi edin e de akere wo we mu ye nkofo anu omo serve e wo abemu
e wo court o enye de suspicion gego e wo court
mini aba de me kan ye de akọ
okay
na ebinum nso investigation e sha ase ye dindindin ne ma omo police inquiry bill
okay
wo
okay they to bola lawyer Boatin hold on lawyer Mahmood.
Yes. You see, it's a good thing, and I recommend the government of the day for doing those things. It is not a bad thing that a government should prosecute a former government officials or his own appointees that are corrupt in one way or the other. They are not a good thing, because you and I know that the Mahama appointees, we cannot finish counting them, but we can count a few of them. MPP government here, they prosecute them, so it's in the right direction. But what would rather shock every reasonable Ghanaian say, Nema, the government of the day, no, prosecute former appointees, no, on one government appointees, Nema abrosa in terms of corruption. And we have not seen a single of them. There's even no an attempt to put any of them before court. That is what people are wondering. Are you doing political weak hunting? Or you are out there to fight corruption as we expect you to do? So these are the things that people are wondering. And as I rightly stated from my start point of the Auditor General, a very good corruption fighter, the president, a lawyer of all standards, used unconstitutional means to get him out of the office. The Supreme Court had recently ruled about that and said that what the president did was unconstitutional. Meanwhile, the unconstitutional thing brought the current Auditor General to office, and he's still sitting there.
Okay.
Do you blame this on the law? Do you say the Constitution is not working properly? We know what.
Your argument is that by Supreme Court decision, it said the president a young constitution. Therefore, any subsequent action be a deal no show by extension, so unconstitutional, right? They was say they always say I on to free office.
Yes. Who is to ensure?
Yes.
Who is to ensure that that thing works? Is it me and you? It is the government.
Okay.
You get it. So who is to prosecute the numerous corruption cases that we are hearing in the MPP government? we saw the health minister, Honorable Ajimamenu, crying on television about procurement breaches. Has he been invited before?
But
Are we saying that we didn't?
But lawyer, a senior lawyer, procurement breaches doesn't necessarily mean say corruption. Say procurement breaches the bar a corruption.
Well, if it.
Hello, lawyer. But say I ascertain this issue very well, Prof. I don't know what you think about seeing all these things. Need a lawyer kind of go. I don't know. Or procurement breaches. I don't know. Say procurement breaches here a year first a corruption. But lawyer, some
yes,
lawyer.
It's corruption. It is where real corruption starts from. Because you will not let what do they call it? Contractors or whatever go through competitive bidding for you to be able to assess the quality of work, and then be able to also assess a good value for money. But you choose to opt for your party member, a relative, or whatever, because of the percentage or whatever that you will get out of those contracts. Okay. And so what will it lead to? Is that not corruption? Okay. We hear of the destruction, a contaminant, and the like. Very clear. Something that a basic first-year student will not even suffer when he's given such a case to go to the court to prosecute. Have we heard that they've been invited in any police station in this country? Is Yoko Nomo there? Is the special prosecutor's office not acting on those things? The man who came out, the then former Minister of Science and Technology, Dr. Frimpong Boateng, we all saw the good report that he put in the presidency. What did we hear lately? All the numerous government official names that appeared to, in one way or the other, involved in corruption or the other. He is the one who's rather suffering for bringing out those things to bear. So yes, yes, we don't want to go this way, but sometimes I'm also wondering how you can discuss some of these things dispassionately without mess, because yes, the NPP government is the government of the day. But to me, let me land by saying this. I don't want to blame the Constitution. I don't see the Constitution to have any problem, neither any of the laws. But I want to blame we Ghanaians. We are not serious at all as far as we, the NDC and the NPP, is concerned with regards to this corruption. Explain, lawyer. We are not serious. We are not serious, because if I look at the number of people who followed His Excellency the Vice President to pick his forms and how we're yielding support for him, and this is the man who said he was going to fight corruption, and when he picked his form, he was totally silent. He did not tell us what he did in his capacity as Vice President, when you and I agreed totally that the bane of Ghana's problem is on corruption. He did not say anything about it. He's now talking about digitization. And we are all yelling at this man to come and what? And lead us again. Are we serious as Ghanaians? Are we checking him? Are we questioning him? The Constitution has done its best. It has made the necessary checks and balances for one institution to check the other, or in one way or the other, to ensure that, yes, we are able to control some of these things. And I don't think it is different from what the Americans are doing. Though it may not be entirely the same, but our constitutions, if any, the difference are not that much. But
so you are blaming Ghanaians that it is our lack of seriousness. 18 corruption do one, because the way we followed Baumia, didn't go Gina picking the form. Nobody questioned him. Nobody demanded accountability about the corruption. Nothing. And no now you are blaming Ghanaians. Yeah, we are not serious. Me person what's the law Mahmoud. Lawyer. But this is very, very interesting aspect. Now, lawyer Mahmoud Bemuno. Comments up in the two. So Dr. Baumia has taken the lead for MPP flag bearer race dada. Ain't your court when ya someone a ye bekama a better problem. Be a catcher lawyer Mahmoud say, and ya hot, oko picking a form no biko busana about corruption issue. Kwaku Prano say is the same procurement breaches and a EC chairperson, no. Omusake no. Sacked from the office. Sacked from which office? But then issue now. Oba no watch them. Fuseni Musa say, La Mahmoud Binduri is very proud of you. But what do you think about the outcome? Say Ghana for are to be blamed. Yena Yama corruption do this level, not the constitution, not systems.
Yeah, who say Omumia and Omuma, a couple of examples, right? I want us to look through those examples. the guy mentioned Domelevo, right? Who was he investigating?
He was investigating all public institutions. Someone collecting data from all public institutions.
But we remember that the name of Osafo Mafo came in.
Yeah.
Right? Osafo Mafo is a political figure. Let's go to Airbus, right? We don't know who officer this and this and this is, but they are assuming that it is Mahama, right? That is what a political figure.
Well, let's go to assumption because lawyer Boatin he was never Mahama was never named in that.
Absolutely,
it was a UK case.
Correct, I understand about that. I said we are resting on his assumption.
Okay.
That the Airbus, the assumption is that it is Mahama who is involved. Let's assume that if it's Mahama who is involved, it is a political figure. Let's go to Martin Amidu. What actually broke Martin Amidu's nerves? It was Ken Ofori-Atta, right? Ken Ofori-Atta is a political figure.
Okay. Let's
go to Akuta Mining, right? You're talking about Wontumi. Wontumi is a political figure. Let's talk about Frimpong Boatin, right? It's a political figure. Why is it that all these people are political figures and we have problem dealing with them? But when you go to the MMDAs, right, we are able to investigate them easily.
Okay.
What is the problem over there? So we have made corruption become an oxymoron, right? Instead of we focusing our attention on political corruption, which affect political actors, we are still trying to blame what? The MMDAs. That is something we've been doing since the 1960s and the 1980s. There's nothing new about it. The names that we mentioned over here, he said what? When you fight corruption, corruption will fight you back. Who are fighting back? It's the political actors who are fighting back, not those who are in the MMDAs. So our attention should not be on the MMDAs because we have institutions that deal with them.
Okay.
Our attention should be on the political corruption, which involve the political actors. And that has been the problem. It was like I told you, all the examples that we gave, Domelovo, Airbus, Martin Amidu, Akunta, Frimpong Boatin, all these things are political figures, and we are not able to deal with them.
Woyome, Suba, Sada, Prof, Nina, Ekaho, now Prof, where the Wadaruma, Miniaba. You see, said Domelovo Asemia Yeke. Aden ye Musa who say, a dear and soon at the Domelovo, Eba office. It's Ibrana NDC wa Bemu and not you the Dria, MCA Auditor General Noa, NDC for Bepamu no free home. Sabina or no so na your corruption being and no investigating. A dear Juman and no NDC for also by your Mokas who proceeding on leave. Let's be fair to issues to know. Proceed on leave, yeah, proceed on leave. Atamio's time and no John Dramani Mahama advice. Proceed on leave, yeah, the palm will be. Masabi Abaya the boat at near the Abobandia, and no dear Necron Bintin will be the Aboba. Then we
okay. Now, the Sana or more Pamono, and within a month of focus, there's a connection.
Miniaba event Benson see ya Pamu Rebia. It is a lacuna being a war law num, and a politician not taking advantage. I address it and no.
Okay.
Because ye any paying quadia, Sadia be on a law no, and had them provided. You know, this whole leave thing, a yes, a Supreme Court will know I can't want them. In fact, I'm yet to read the ruling, but I'm hoping, say, or more adequately address this leave thing. Because the issue, we Labor Act in one casa, it doesn't even allow for you to accumulate your leave. The policy of the law, they say allow for rejuvenation and for productive, work. But once it is there, politicians never also won't go leave no. Whatever it is, the politician will make use of it. But Mimpesi Abeka say, Sebi Ebia no be nevia sikefra bemu enti ni apamuru Domelevo political parties nyina wo mo de ye omo ho ye nyina ye de ye ho okay wa hunu enti yenti asiasa na minia lawyer sa akoko kan Professor Frimpong Boatin report and was here adwuma pa Frimpong Boatin aye no kre menene ya adwen I'm one of the people Min kase yen sweep Frimpong Boateng work no under the carpet, under the guise of technicalities. There be so we are na ye adwuma bi no abobɔ ne me bi so yenhwɛ yesi ba bi enwusie free ba no na bibi wɔ hɔ. Enti yenhwɛ enti hia ye pa. Na mum uko page 13 of that page no a. Was it one makum Ghana pa no ma benefited from illegal mining? Hey, NDC for page 13. I've been specific.
Of Professor Frimpong Boateng report, no?
Absolutely.
On the basis of
absolutely.
On the basis of
was it NDC who pay one more? In fact, he was even specific with Western region. Was one more two from a good year say or bad dear. Adijadia would yeja Ghana. Enye musika. Edi bikra kwa sponsor some independent candidates in MPP prone areas. NDC for. In fact, wasa. I don't know if it's wasa Memphis or Obodisi between. Yes, Obodisi nukredi. So why the approbation and reprobation? On one hand, Frimpong Boateng Jumani yepa. If we say we MPP in why, but if you say page 13, no, one we say NDC for na di ewo when it comes to illegal mining.
Okay.
Na sabi miniaba. When we say Galamsey semi ekobaye in 2013, May 2013, and NDC ete inter-ministerial committee say womu hwe nanka Galamsey womu mpe wansem ka because ata me gina na so pa. Even invest woman with executive powers because you will say sikani be kura no na money laundering because woman say sikana na mfa system no mo de ko.
Okay.
And you ma woman the powers to even prosecute. Sata na owura Mahama Yariga. Any yaya hana tete no wo committee no subi. Professor Ahoy na owo subi and some other people. Woman here adwuma na mini aba wonim say in September 2016 ye ba beto aba no. Asma Mahama Yariga beka ye say the fight against Galamsey, they have failed woefully. And his reason is that wherever natural resources are, people will do anything and everything to extract it. So we or say the minerals of Galamsey should not be put at the doorstep of government alone, knowing that the ability to halt it is a shared responsibility.
Your point is
Mahama Yaga. Ebeka year 2016. They had given up. I know mudu say go omuti. Na mini abani bi areho. Di areho mini abaka bi wie ya. Nka bi wie ya wada Roma.
Your time ninti no. I was say a channel sope. Wa woti akonya so ene. You have the men. You have the largest number of ministers. You mo dey am power than the President Kufuor. Until obi any more experience, more obi any say you can middle class party amo. How are you fighting corruption? If we say NDC give it up, oh no buy and no fighting corruption you could see saying.
Many about in 3 regards here, a brain to so fast and the actual war. Nana me they had we say with him said 2016 yeah baba to abano NDC who so meant me ankono. I feel they started encouraging people to do Galamsey. Ura kwaku buahe. The video you saw to I'm informing you. Say kwaku buahe ekojina Galamsey side say womuntu abama NDC. That is the 2020 last election year. NDC every year. They shouldn't wait for any instructions from anybody. Ubi answer the near no forest no so. Video public knowledge. Yes. NDC for penny can be including already Ketia. Or no so can be.
They only wanted to encourage small scale mining and yes, Obi.
Well, that is for you and I to judge. Say so Sebi, we are rational. It is for us to judge. Now, many about Mamin Koso and Niamami and Saya Baye Niabra Yaye. By way of legislation, you show the political will. Yebaye na punishment what Galamsey. We had to amend the law, the 2019 Minerals and Mining Act, no 2019. Na punishment ye womu yebe yiri mu kiti increase ye man punitive, including custodial sentence ya ye mi mu pa. Sebeye ne no. Ebe deterrent enough. And when you start a political will, no. Now the twasu mienu, some stringent measures be a taking here at a point in time. You almost say extrajudicial. This is the only government ya ye buy and go for excavator. Uja no wura mu ana wutu di kosi police station abeba no. No mo di control board wa ba be shim no mo tuko.
Eti lawyer, they only fighting galamsey. They fighting corruption. Galamsey ya muchichino. Which, according to Prof explanation, no more checking kete na wasi no. Omo excavators na mo shino. Akesifo na was shown up Prof Safran Pom what bo mudi no. Do do say na mo cheye. Do do say na uni magmu di be mu no say. Those who are actually doing it no. Mo nchichi omo mo pe scapegoat kete wasi. Mo de Aisha wan kwa mi wa Aisha wan ne nkofo na ye. Omo oni omo tu no omo he yanchi omo yachi Aisha wan. That's where Prof is coming from. Focus on the people, focus on the top.
Say excavators ya di fu agu so ani ye hye no no a. Eno no ntimi nko hunu say eye we die ni ana we die ni. Excavator no nketu an makese, these were machines here. But the point that I'm making is that it was born out of
egusu ya mine mebo abra o breaching the terms of mebo so egusu ya
mini abaka o ma mi wie me point ya me building here
then important question because oh ma they are much omo and ambusa unu ya bema lo mamudu bo akonta mine one oye nipa kese ya MPP mu
yes
there's evidence to show say ne license ya de man no or beyond area na ya de man no and no akosi say
really, I cannot be holding brief for akonta mining. Any woman a business I can't be holding brief. A entity on its owner. If they have done anything that borders on criminality, and that is my position. And found the war cram and penny akoda. And now the mampeni cranu and san wapakoda. There are laws. There are laws. And what's a year? It should work if it borders on criminality. It should work. But many about the American say, yen ye sinko for excavators ya. Ghana for kra no demu se na extrajudicial. Ne no tre ye ni brabre and the frustrations that we had about Galamsey. It showed. Obi enu awetimi aye. Na many about him say we paid for it. In the 2016 election, 2020 elections, we paid for it dearly.
If you pay for
we lost it.
To the state.
Hold on, my brother.
No need for you to ban those excavators in the first place.
Well, that was to show our political will. That was to show our political will. You see, what did you do? What did you do? You encourage people. You encourage people to do illegal mining. From Pom Boating's page 13, his document, page 13, says that if we are looking for people who have benefited maximally from illegal mining, it is the NDC. You have been named there. You have been named.
All the names that have mentioned.
So why won't you? Why, if you think Akonta Mining has also done something wrong, go after them. Aren't you a private person? Oh, you are not a private person. You are not a private person. You see, when he represents clients that he thinks people have committed crime against, we have a way of going about it, and he knows. We have a way. Maybe mini aba me ground so no wa mama flow you.
No, but you don't have to, because you know what my simple. I am one of those who are against the banning of the excavator, because to ban excavator, I don't know how you rational beings to ban an excavator. Go after the one who imported, the one who owns the excavator, and let the Lord deal with him. It's as simple as that.
I thought I was on the floor. He has had his time. He has had his time. If I can also have my time.
Mahmoud, finish what's your point of order.
Yes, I think Lawyer Boating is shooting himself in the foot if he's now making it public that they had paid for banning excavators. And that is why I'm saying that I am one of those who believe in banning excavators. I'm one of those who do not believe in the banning of excavators, because an excavator is not anything that any ordinary Ghanaian can own. And so once somebody owns an excavator, going after him, tracing who his whereabouts is as easy as anything. And so the law has put in mechanisms which does not include banning of it. And so, if we really apply the law, we can bring those people into the world before the law and let the law deal with them. The court can make the necessary orders. For the very owners of these excavators that we are burning them and ends up paying so much with our state from our state coffers, we can order them to bring the excavators from the bush.
Okay, let him. I want to say I'm mutuya sika for excavators nana. The emotion on mutuya.
Okay.
Dabi, I haven't said that. It's because nobody is listening to me. I have never said we paid money. What I have said, please.
Say you paid for it. Explain.
We paid for it dearly in the 2020 elections. We lost seats around Galamsey areas. We lost seats. That is what I said.
Okay.
And what I'm also putting on record, they say MPP abano ayewo hono. Say Galamsey no be jaide hiya yencha abato. And no, let me put on record. Say Galamsey no ye betimi edi hu dwuma na ejahe. Na Ghana nsuo hu ate. Na no Ghana for beto abeti aye a. Eno de yaye yenya me dwuma. And only the political will NDC NBA enti omuti committee 2013 as at 2016 afed ye ba beto aba omo encouraging nkofo say wo mo nkokoto aba. There's a publication in Graphic Cafe. John Dramani Mahama Noah say we should stop chasing illegal miners with soldiers. We should stop chasing them. In fact, it was so cheap a political. He said, "Any say omo fighting Galamsey, you nyusu enono fentia wo mo. So omo bo manfo anu egu." And miniaba
elections no.
Eno ena ama yentumi hu Galamsey no ne pumesibre. Na excavators asemi ya working. So ukochi excavator na utunu control board free so say ye kwa ba ni aba betam e de akwa kosi baby e wosi edisia ana wa masukra de akwa kosi baby a ye de asi no wa demobilize no wo beba no na sa part no wutu di ko ye no awunim se ade no wa ground no na ye de aba be hwem ne etuko de wo be chi si ho no so a wo benya mpabo akese bi ama ono so beba di dwato akese e de aba. Now, Ghana for we shouldn't play the ostrich. Our respect for certain authorities. It's a teacher no come no, Jatwo, Edio, Yaseno.
Okay.
And no, they can't yet. You can call it frustration. Whatever it is, call it frustration. The president was frustrated and he wanted to curb this illegal mining thing. To that extent, say we did it when we knew say it will cost us politically. It will cost us. Can we say the same for NDC? Can we say the same for NDC?
When it comes to the issue of burning excavators, you are not the first to start it. The NDC did more than you are doing.
Well, Minia, let me finish my point. Minia, about the last point that I was making has to do with resources. One said, "Maka about laws amendment." Punitive maka about stringent measures here. No be to say extrajudicial.
Yeah, but we did address it. Dr. Baumia at a point, not the campaign time. We need power here, mobile. I say, on back criminalize corruption. And they make I. So basically, no one to mean that amendment to moment criminalize no.
Meaning about corruption has been a crime. Corruption has been a crime. In fact, no, I do not know the exact.
I think I maybe on one account. I think me quote event and exactly what he meant by criminalizing, whether he said bribery or what that they've not done. That
I may not be able to speak to it. Maybe I can exact. You know,
it was an event.
Yes, but corruption itself has been a crime for a long time. Now, resources are making.
It should be easy for you to prosecute in Crawford. Mu claim say, mobile say, and no prof can say if the will is there, you will not go after Nketuano. You go after Strohoff. No, that's where the chunk of the money goes to. Resources now you're losing. That's where it goes. It goes. And what they free. That's the source.
Minyaba obibia noa wode ne nsaka Ghana sika ewo kwambone so no emfa honi ni muduro emfa honi ni pakura woye me no that is where this whole discussion should start.
Yes.
Well, no. And for one, Sabi Yaka Akunta Maisi, as if say Akunta Maisi, if it's a limited liability company, it has owners. There are laws.
Yes.
The laws should work.
That is it. That's
Well,
what
no.
I want to hear.
It's not as if say.
Is it working? Because NDC time now corruption perception doesn't hear number 43. Now more by with all the resources and all the okay political will, I will share evidence of that political will. Still, I had that 43. And then really no, that we've not seen.
Yes. Look, Ejumane Edi, Minuaba, Ejumanu Edi, Mintana Enkase, Ketase no Kono, Eyakun Ketwa. Ababia, Waba, Betna Ghana, Benya Sono, Enya ne Chefa Pa, Kese. Corruption not to be ason. Ababia brewo ho pa. And the NPP is not an exception. But ye can. Ye hear modern bo. Woody Uremu. Any unketesi a see that will, that resolute, stance no abeteki. Se the city biano, menini di besino. That is it. Well, no, na ye ba ye can na kwakwa ye say. Ye can't in Namstro, Akasifuan in Edisica, Casifuan in ASA, ye bet me a cansana, Adiachi, me and Timim pinpointing Ghana Sika, yes, Ira. I know, yes, I assume it now will be Tibotom now, Quakura, and no, see you, Miniaba.
We need you, Prof, to explain to us, or see, Yentumimbo BAD. But you see, Mahmoud, before I go to Prof, one man is admitting say corruption fight hard. Was it hard?
Yeah, that one there, no two ways about it.
Okay.
We agree that it is hard, but not with a government that appointed the highest number of ministers that it was going to clean the mess. And that in itself.
That cannot be true.
Mandated to fight corruption. Ministers and appoint you, President Kaso or high number so that they come and fight corruption. Mahmoud.
The facts no cry correct. It is never true say MPP and they appointed there. Abanya or no far about 86 or even more than 86 ministers. When or no war 10 regions. Now baby Abanya there was 16 regions here. You need a single deputy regional minister. Not a single one.
Largest number no. And some 6 regions they back and wo.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that with 16 regions, ordinarily we are supposed to have a larger number of ministers. That is if you are appointed a substantive regional minister near man deputy.
No, before the 16 regions.
You have place.
What they are talking about, Mahmoud, make your point. Make your point.
And my last point is this: if the government.
Mahmoud, we have to repeat your point because we didn't hear you when your line went off. So repeat yourself.
I'm saying that we were in this country when the government said that one of its major policies was to create one village, one dam. We had the amount of money that was budgeted for each dam, and it was 250,000 Ghana cedis. At the end of the day, these testy dams in itself was 350,000 Ghana cedis. And
no, I don't understand you. So the dams were constructed. They dug the dams, but the cost of the dams were what?
Were inflated over 100,000 Ghana cedis each.
Okay, and can you give evidence to show that the money went to somebody's pocket?
Oh, does that lie on my? I'm not the investigative body, but who was in charge?
Please, cancel. We are lawyers. Please, in the first place, you haven't given any threshold. You see, you haven't given any threshold that this is per this threshold. This is how much a dam should cost. You just throw it out there that has been inflated by 100,000, and you want us to take it hook, line, and sinker.
The minister made it clear on this
so you are not an investigative. You are not an investigative body. but then you know the money has gone to somebody's pocket.
Mahmoud, you said what? You said you got the source of the actual cost of the dance from where? From the minister?
Not from the minister, but from investigative journalists.
Okay.
And they said the actual cost was 350 instead of the 250 that the ministers made us to believe. And notwithstanding all these dams, as we speak, there is no drop of water in it. And so to say that, yes, we are not able to point out that these monies went into this particular person's office, into this person's pocket. If there is no investigation in it in the first place, how will we be able to unravel to whose pocket the money ended?
Okay.
You don't want to investigate it. Your government doesn't care about it.
But Mahmoud, are you not the same person accusing MPP that they investigate and they clear these people? But you are saying they are not investigating. But initially
we did not say they investigate and clear. We said that even as soon as the investigation is going to take place, they clear them. They clear them before the investigation will even be concluded. And so the clearance agent will not even allow the investigation institution to do their work.
Okay. And
so
in
that
this
is
case,
what we are saying.
In this case, who is the clearing agent? The president or what?
You and I know who the clearing agent is, and for that matter, all our listeners, we all understand it. So it doesn't lie on my mouth to repeat who the clearing agent is.
Okay.
My brother has inherited his description of me as a serial caller. A serial caller argument.
Yes, I said,
person. You have gradually inherited your description of me. Yes, but you see, elevating conversation. Let's elevate the conversation.
But don't forget that.
At least on platforms like this, let's elevate the conversation. You see,
that's why I worry when way the 2 ways away, because it doesn't change the amount of money that we're losing. And that's why Prof can say the boldness of leadership is key in solving this problem, at least in reducing the amount of money that goes into corruption. The boldness of leadership. So, Mahmoud, I'll come to you. Now that President Mahama is campaigning, seeking to return to power, people also want to see whether he'll be bold enough to say that this is how, because all the rhetoric about, we'll fight corruption, we've heard it before, so we don't want a repetition of we'll fight corruption. Well, the boldness, I will come to you about that so that you say, but Prof, what would do you see say, you bet me fighting corruption or ever? Is there even the slight possibility I'll show baby? Because one may ask says corruption that cover could deter neighbor. And they are question and say, people have said it's a common crowd. People can do whatever they want to see. Do you think that you bet me fighting corruption? And I to one I say cool, so whatever see what Ghana. We are not praying for
it. Right? Almost can say fighting corruption is hard. Right. Almost can say fighting corruption is hard because political corruption is difficult to fight. But it is very easy to fight corruption that are in the state institutions.
Okay.
That one is very, very easy to do that. When you look at MMDAs, Auditor General can do that. SHRA can easily do that. You go to Parliament, they have what PAC over there. They will be able to do those things. But when it comes to the political corruption, because they are political actors, they said it's difficult to fight. Why is that particular one is difficult to fight, but it's easy to fight the other one? Why is that so? I don't think the bureaucrats are multi-ministries, right? District chief executives, and you are able to fight that. But when it comes to you say fighting corruption is hard. It is not fighting corruption, it is fighting political corruption, which is hard. That is the
Doc, I do not think. Doc, I don't think that is.
But Doc, do you think that what will it take near to me fighting political corruption? Because what say when is kind of war?
Because the point is the way a state needs right? The political actors should be involved in policy formulation.
Okay.
That is what they are supposed to do. And leave the implementation of the policy to the bureaucrats at the ministries. But the situation that we have, the example Mahmoud is giving, or see what? One district, one dam, right? How are Yakubu? She was the one formulating the policy. She's the same person implementing the policy. How is that possible?
Who checks him?
Right? But if she only formulated a policy, and it's the Ministry of Special Development, right? Or maybe there's a chief director over there who is doing the policy implementation, we will not have a problem that we're having now. Because implementation is left the chief director to do that. But the chief directors know the auditor generals are there to what? To check them. The charge are there to check them. Parliament committee is also there to check them. But when it becomes the political actors who are doing the formulation and the implementation, then the whole thing becomes very murky.
Okay.
So we should be able to separate the two.
Okay.
If it's policy formulation, as a minister, do the policy formulation and leave the implementation to the bureaucrats to do what they are supposed to do. That is the problem that we have. That is why we talk about what the character and the nature of the state that we inherited.
Yeah, but Prof, they are okay. They are in a democratic system. No, it doesn't look like NDC or MPPR or Mumi and Wabedi are so 30 years. No, they have this separation. They don't have it. Do you see that?
No. They are talking about democracy. We do not have democracy in Africa. What we have is what they call electoral democracy.
Oh, okay. I see.
No. The way the West defines democracy is different from the way we define it.
Okay.
What we have in Africa is electoral. We've mastered the art of holding elections. That is what we have over there. We have electoral. Look at all the previous elections that we've had. We have mastered the art of holding elections, right? So the political actors are always trying to hold on to power.
Okay.
Because when they hold on to power, they have control over resources, and they are able to distribute those resources to their domestic and foreign audience.
Okay.
It is not about citizens' rights to hold political actors accountable for political outcomes. That is what happens in the West.
Okay.
Right? Ours is about how to hold elections. So every African country holds elections. Every African country has mastered the art of holding elections. So ours is what we call electoral democracy. Okay. It is not more about citizen rights.
It's the power of the citizens to hold their leaders accountable. But Africa, there no elections, democracy penny.
Yeah, ours is how to elect political actors who have control over resources, right? And those resources will be distributed to the solidarities, party members, party financiers, and give contract and things like that. Is what we do in Africa. But over there in the West, it's about rights. People have their right to hold government accountable. But that is what we are practicing over there. So when we use the word democracy, it's just an oxymoron. We should be able to make that distinction.
I see. Not just a problem, baby. We can't solve corruption problem because already fundamentally you're wrong. You're democracy. What you say? And your democracy in your practicing elections.
Yeah, that's how they call it. It's called electoral democracy. Let me give you a very good example. If you go to Botswana, for example, there's only one party that has been in existence since they had independence. Is that how democracy works?
No.
If you go to South Africa, the ANC has been in power and will be in power for the next 15 years. Is that how democracy works when opposition parties cannot come to power? That is not democracy. So what we have been practicing over the years is what they call electoral democracy. We've mastered the act. Look at when it's time for elections. Look at what happens in Ghana. When people are talking, then government goes in and arresting them. That means we are violating citizens' rights compared to what happens in the West. With the West, they have the rights. They are able to hold government accountable to get electoral outcomes. But what we have over there in Africa, we are focused on elections so that we elect people into power. And the people who come to power, they want to hold on to the power, to stay there. Because the more you stay in there, the more resources you get to distribute to your solidarity.
So necessarily to even develop the countries, just to
no.
solidarity. So Prof, not just said the lawyer Mahmoud can't say. Dr. Baumiechi, because he was using them to signify Ghana for you. I said Ghana for you serious about fighting corruption. Because the Nippon Bano catches over fighting corruption. Yeah, said Dinechi. And he was using Baumiechi and said Nipa Dinechi. Now these same people fighting corruption, and they were following the same person who has failed to fight corruption and is not talking about the digitization. Is that a fair and observation?
Yeah, I saw the video. You saw some members of parliament, right? They were following him. He is going to present his forms. What is so unique about it? They are following him at the back of their mind. They know when it comes to power, when he gets power, he will be able to give them something in return. So it's all about elections. It's all about anything that we do is all about election. It's not about the citizens' rights, right? To hold those politicians accountable. That is not what we are practicing. It's always about elections and elections and elections. Look at, we hold elections in Africa so well that even those in the West, because we have mastered it. Right? We've done it over and over and over and over and over again. We don't forget about the citizens' rights, freedom of this, freedom of that, freedom of that. That is not where our focus is. It's to how to hold on to power, right? Maintain it, right? So, because we are talking about citizens' rights in the West, but in Africa, it's about that and control over resources. So that is where we had a problem.
Okay.
So we shouldn't be using the word democracy. The term that we use is normally referred to as what? Electoral democracy. Look at some of these African countries. How many years was Museveni in power? Look at what is happening for Kagame. Some of them have been in power 10, 20 years. Why should we have a country where one person will be in power for 10, 20 years? How can that be democracy?
Okay. But Prof, then indirectly, emphatically, you are saying that we cannot solve democracy, or we cannot even reduce corruption. We cannot reduce it.
No, okay. This is one thing. Now we all agree. Let's agree that we have corruption in our system. The question is, who benefits from corruption?
Okay.
That is the question that we've not been able to exploit. It is not Ghanaians. If you are talking about Ghanaians, it's not Ghanaians who are benefiting from corruption.
Then who?
It is the foreign companies. They are the ones who benefit a chunk. Right? Take for example.
But is it not our own people are signing the contract, the deals and all that? Are they not the ones making the decisions? So why is it the foreign companies that are benefiting from corruption?
No, we are talking about benefits, right? It's our people who are presenting to them. By the end of the day, who benefit is the foreigners. Those companies that come in, the MTN, the ExxonMobil, they are the ones who actually, how much money does MTN move out of Ghana every weekend or every month? Look at ExxonMobil, look at the money that they extract from the country. So the question that we need to ask ourselves.
Can you capture that as corruption? Because these are investors who have invested their monies in companies in Ghana. So if there's profit in the investment, are they not in their right ownership to take the money wherever they want to take it to? People invest in profit, right? So your company that's all do seek MTN or Ghana or you want a profit bar. There's no law that says by force Ghana. You have a right to take it wherever you want to take it. Anna.
Have you asked us the way and manner that they got those contracts? Right? The way and manner that they got those contracts is also a question.
You have evidence, say companies, no, because all corruption, Ghana for baby, they all can assassin. Or my being now a buying deals in the idea or no yes. So they say private companies in Bemua. Then people ask the whole evidence that just a company's way. Why you move fast when contract based on corruption?
That's why I'm saying that we are no more defined. We are looking at distinctive ways that you can easily identify corruption.
Okay.
Right? You can have maybe a political actor, a minister who gives a contract, who goes to negotiate a contract with a foreign company. We have companies that come to Ghana and they get tax exemptions, huge tax exemption, right? Who has benefited from whatever contract that was given? So the question that we need to ask ourselves is who benefits from corruption? Because we know our system is corrupt. But now let's face facts. who are those benefiting from corruption? Is it the domestic people in the country, or is it those who are outside the country? For example, they say almost every year, $3 to $4 billion leave Africa in terms of what they call illicit financial flows. Who are those benefiting from it? It's foreign companies. So if we are able to identify those who are benefiting from corruption, then we should come up with laws to restrict them. So the moment we are able to restrict them from money moving outside, then we can come and deal with ours domestically.
Okay.
Right? Let's focus on those who benefit, who are the foreigners first, and stop. That is why if you come to the US, they have what they call the FCPA, Foreign Corrupt Practices Act. American companies that goes overseas to give bribes, right? That is a way of trying to limit that.
Okay. Prof, I think, I don't know, but what do you have? No, let me call Mahmoud. Like Mahmoud,
Yes.
do you think the issue is about domestic or foreign? I don't know which one is more of a problem in Ghana's development.
Yes, to me, I think it is general, but even though I agree with Doc's analysis on the international or the foreign base, but to also sort of rule out the domestic aspect entirely as he wants to do, I don't agree with him there, because there are many others that, yes, the beneficiaries may be the international persons or their companies alike, but there are many others that are entirely domestic. And so
there are companies in Ghana who are the corruption campaigns, not necessarily foreign companies. That's what you're saying.
Yes, or even individuals. There are individuals too. For instance, I will always want to support my analysis with a very known or well-known example. For instance, in the early part of the NPP government, when the most contaminated fuel saga came, you see it. How do you attribute this to any foreign company or any international person? And who were the beneficiaries? The beneficiary, the MD at the time, because nothing was done about it, he finds his way into parliament. And so this has nothing to do with any international company or personality at all. And so, yes, there may be some international characters, companies as beneficiaries, as Doc tries to attribute to, but yet there are some that has nothing to do with foreigners entirely, and so it can be.
Okay, let me clarify something, right? I have some data over here. In 2020, right, illicit financial flows from Africa was $88.6 billion.
Okay.
That is a lot of money. That says what? It's almost 3.7% of the total GDP of Africa. Money that leaves Africa in 2020. That's a huge chunk of money. So why don't we pass laws to be able to restrict that money from going outside?
His point is also that there are local companies, Ghana for companies, or what? All these foreign transactions,
Absolutely. Let's talk about the money that is leaving first. Let's stop that. Then if you are able to stop what is leaving, then we'll come and focus our attention on what is in.
Okay. Very well. Anything you want to add?
Yes. What I will say is that I agree with what has been said. At least there's a common consensus, regardless of how we characterize it. And of course, I also greatly appreciate Prof. point. Some of the dichotomization is very academic, I understand. But at the end of the day, what it is, they say, in fact, will be a say about or mine or a map and nam keta. Now, and also to take diverse ways. A prime baby. Well, no, na Nina so no. Yana, Mempese, Yadi and Sabiguiti, as if say, Yavi Yaba. You're making a lot of progress. And Kofoya, Womadi, ye come once a mean. Womu be about 400 years older, almost system, no new democracy, about 400 years older. Yeni an yebechichi yen, Emma, yako ye woman ye, yako ye nkrutu juma, ye woman ye, Emma womo. Enra naminam London baby or my friend of Victoria station, some big train station underground. Na mi busa de me nam say eh leti enkofoi de ba no de two amena we are like a whole city e wo form sa o say mo na nanom ne ye do mbetu sa amena we mo na nanom de betu ye nti wa hu through all that process no ye be kachi kakra na mum ya na me pese account ye blessing so mako ye mra no
but enya no nti na nkofo bebe people like prof me idea am feel say ferry ni wo ma ye say in all these years ye dey na makotu bridges ne in hwan underground railways amabrofu ye dey yet ho we are refusing to do the assessment ye I be fix your mind, and that goes to a particularly more MPP mobile because more ban the pump and pageant here more the share boss more the more bar you have the men, you have the knowledge, you have the skill, you have the passion and the commitment to change the trajectory. Still I down for 43%. And I'm going for baby. Obi the kind of bro for my shock price. Go for baby bobu pusa. Because mama
ya ye bia duru baby. Mean to me enyina hankasi yetumi ya ye ni nyina sede e bia nka Ghana for ehwehwe no na emum yetumi ya ye duru baby. Omanfo no bebre na wo mu tie no nim se ebre bi atwa mu a
mo faili. Why don't you admit munya broadcast nka say you
no,
failed?
No, meaning about far from to say see a feeling no ye too much of an overstretch. Ya yebi ye adwuma no bi building these systems no ohwe niema adok wo kan system building ye de mra ye de hihye ye de certain culture ama brofo na use a aboa wo mo no that culture no emma overnight wahunu enye MPP aban na betumi timamufuo no ankasa no the change no was a chance ye free yeah of course the political leadership no ye say ye timamufuo no kra ye tumi sesa political leadership wa wono no nye in tandem with the change no want to mean na ho mani nye yi
okay
wahunu but it takes time ye bre any ye ni abre na nkakra ye de beye amana yi bebre bi atwam anu o manfo ni nim de ye de Ghana fo sika ye no ene wo mu nim se Ghana fo sika no yom ebo man hu brawo wo mu nim etiefo mu ti eni nim se ne Ghana fo sika no ebo oman ho bra wo hunu ebre bi atwam a sabi ye nyina ne enim de ye de ye me pese mebubo din cause ya na akwa ese conversation no kra wo ye no political bibia wo hu se binu ya lawyer kasa no okoka so won ti ase se Dr. Baumie kofa form so na amanfo edinachi sabi tenka corruption ti on say what can so wantimi ampempoint say sika bia ko wura Dr. Baumie abotomu en wantimi ka say Ghana fo sika bia ayira ye hwe aye nhunu en ye ko hunu Dr. Baumie abotomu
demand accountability from him
but you see senka obi a enka ni kwa so si edinachi kura secretary senti na nka ozi demand accountability from no en ye ko no ani wura John Dramani Mahama en ye ka ozi na yiri ko da na chi ko so uja no kenu kwa so obi akura edinachi keni kwa so opia na yire kura ka no ho ifiri say wo mampani a wono no timi ye code of ethics de man ministers say wo bi kura de hamper brew sa achedie ne gia manye code of ethics no wo ho no no hankasa akwakoji ka afiri obi a yama na ban adwuma a wo building roads a whole corridor of roads cutting from one part of the country to the other no the Ford aba nenya investigative journalist in ko hwehemu ehun ya fe de ebusa se wura ka no ye a wo se me de aka aban ka no ti e pobi o ye corrupt a ni kwa so ono kra no so ma to aba ma no so won sa medi Ghana kunya wonu mpo NDC fu ato aba ma no so won sa medi Ghana kunya nti some of your comments no elevating conversation no said me catch no that attack no on wura Baumia no needless needless see
is that particular car? Is it not part of the government?
Woman, no Ford. No, it's not fair. I listen to you. I listen to you, but when it's my time, you don't let me talk. Please, it's not fair. Let's have some decent conversation, please. And the point that I'm making to you, they say, Ghana Fosi Kebi Anjira ya wet me pinpointed to Baumia Butum. But you are attacking him, say you don't understand why people will follow him. Who will no better Ghana Kunyaswa, you need your Ghana Sika ye. Obia will no babeja bensika no the car buy. Now on the face of it, you know, does it smack off something? Does it smack off something to you? That somebody who is working on a government contract brought a car to the president. Brought a car to the president. And yet, your party, who are buying to Obama, no, who are buying to Obama and say, Omra Metna Ghana Kunyaso. That is not the way to go. Cancel. That is not the way to go. If you want us to have a conversation on corruption, let us give it a nationalistic approach. Let us. It is only at that time that we can say that we are building a nation. These needless attacks on you know political leaders, you know, and people that you know to be at the other side, you know. What will be
lawyer? I think that hold on, lawyer. You see, what did you want to say? I think the point that he was saying was that we have all identified that there's corruption. Like
I want him to understand that does he now believe in the work of investigative journalists, the freedom that these or those investigative journalists were having at the time of Mahama, including that investigative report that they made, which he can now boast and proudly talk about. Are those journalists having that freedom today? These are the fundamental questions that we should be asking. Okay. Do they have that freedom to operate?
Vim, have you been arrested?
Okay.
And then two,
have you been arrested?
Is he saying that John Mahama did not do anything with state funds? And if that is so, what is he saying about the Legon and so many at the Rick Hospital that was used to save Ghanaians when COVID-19?
I think that's not what anybody. I don't think that he's raising that issue, and everybody quite best started conversation because I'm about your state project. The issue is who is fighting corruption enough, but it's okay. I think that the point he was trying to make is President Mahama need the moral authority to question or even fight anybody on corruption, because
that is true. And I think that's my point was that then Bawumia faulted Mahama and his administration on corruption, and based on that, Ghanaians voted massively for them, and he quoted them the millions of what do you call it people that the MPP beat the NDC in the 2016 election. When he is now going to chart his own path as they describe him to do or to have been saying, then why is he now running away from corruption? He should have told us.
Okay. So Bawumia is running away from corruption.
He's not
how did you even come to that conclusion?
He has presided over corruption upon corruption. And so to say that we should be able to point out how much of money, can you also tell us how much of money that went into Mahama's pocket?
The Ford vehicle. The Ford vehicle. Are you asking for evidence in respect of the vehicle?
And I'm asking, where is the Ford vehicle now? As we speak, where is the Ford vehicle now? Is it at Rollerman Boy? So can I go and steal money and use it to take care of the hospital bills of another person and justify it on morality? Can I go and steal money? Can I go and steal money from the bank and use it to pay somebody's hospital bills and not be arrested?
Taking you up on the same issue already about Bawumia say. So no say Bawumia you corrupt. Now say on to me Tracy. Sikebia into Bawumia pocket. Oka say Mahama you corrupt because of Ford. Ford BC Mahama Fiana.
That is it.
Miniaba. And you been a stray or John Dramani Mahama say on your code of ethics for money minister say. And now corruption and there possibility.
It doesn't matter. So I will say on what Bawumia. Now your defense is that on to me share say Sikas is simple and not the Kwakudi Bawumia Botomua. On also Busa say Mahama for now Kofabano. It's Iboliana. Because there's record to show that or they are there to see Jubilee. Mamu the mobile my minister Otri. It's why you still
Mama. Record bear na yewo. Kopim ebra investigative journalist no ye an investigation asem no be there di e kwan be na sa papa no Cote d'Ivoire ni no fa so onya Ghana adwuma ye e kwan be no fa so onya Ghana contract anana contractors ni Ghana ombetimi aye kwan
Okay.
ana omo de omo anya scan to Ford.
Okay. And the method of contracting here, the bemudi, I think they're powerful kind of be we see method of contract we mutu ni nyinemu. Contract that you have given to people who are a Japadi. Say where we saw the legal rep representing the company taking 2% of the contract.
I don't think say you were any operative policy be Ghana as here in Japan.
Any policy
no. Are you talking about a policy that was mooted? Are you talking about a policy that was mooted?
At
the point in time.
Why was it mooted? Why was it mooted? Let's ask ourselves, why was it mooted in the first place?
If you do not, let's not be shifting the conversation. If you do not understand,
this is corruption.
Why was it mooted? Because any public outcrier, Japan will still be there.
That is it.
It was
and with that, they are doing everything possible to bring it back again. And it's away.
Okay, Vim, Mr. Omanu Musa Vim, what now, man? Kaubusa lawyer say a Japan class saying this here. Policy need to say now bunchire. Saying it here.
He doesn't have to know Japan.
Vim, that will not be fair. That will not be fair. He has to know the policy to be able to criticize.
No, it's not for him to answer. Who is Japan? And the policy document, even the legal advisors, are taking 2% of the contract sum. You the legal advisors that they are linked to your government. And if you are questioning Mahama, say, then I'm confirming your contract. Now there is also first legal reps no more or representing Japan.
We are talking about Adia as we speak. Any policy we're Ghana how.
It doesn't matter.
The whole thing is moot. It will make the conversation moot. Okay. We will not be discussing something that is ripe. A policy will be a policy will be moot here. Now, mine Ukrainian to move near the aqua to baby. Why should I be here defending it?
Okay,
a policy that never came into existence.
But now you want me to explain. You want me to explain the policy that's not behind it. Something that you don't want to defend.
No, because you had no idea. You had no idea. You had no idea what the policy stood for. And that is why I'm asking.
Was it having a policy at all? If it was having policy, why was it mooted? Now you now want me to explain it.
Hold on, Mahmoud. So say now, what assurance do we have? Say President Mahama will not have it because I'm watching actually evidence of some corruption cases under your government. Meanwhile, President Mahama so market time or person ba. How do we know for sure so bad? There will not be a continuation of those cases.
That one you have to recommend me. You have to be fair to me because I acknowledge and praise them for that. I have nothing against them. I said that yes, Mahama had thousands of appointees, but though they are prosecution is not up to 1% of it, it's okay. And you don't expect that you run this large size of government without senior my learning colleague now kind if you be a mensa womb. Yes, it's normal. And so Mahama too has acknowledged that there were some mistakes. And so as somebody who comes with that vast experience, is going to work.
But I know if you said explicitly said President Mahama admitted say there was corruption under his government, there were issues. Me said that who is how. So I bet campaign. He only says, oh, there were mistakes, they've learned from their lessons. But to admit and hold up and take accountability for the corruption cases that were under his government.
When his own appointees were being prosecuted by his own government. What else is more than an admission? What else is more vigorous to show of a government who is committed in fighting corruption than this? I don't know the kind of explicitness that you want to hear or see from Mahama during his tenure as the sitting president, and now that he's out of government, that he has, yes, admitted that, yes, there are some mistakes. He talks about the large size of government. He has seen that, yes, we can truly execute government business with few ministers and all that kind of thing. He has spoke about ex gratia, and for that matter, he's going to cancel it with those that he has the power to do, and so on and so forth. And so, yes, he has done it. Yes, and as I rightly said, prosecuting government appointees that we all know that, yes, they are tainted one way or the other in terms of corruption. It's a good thing, but we are yet to see the MPP prosecute his own. And Boateng is aware that there are so many, and even because they are still in government, when you are committed in doing it, it is easy because the evidence is still at our fingertips, and they are not doing it. And maybe before any other government, especially the NDC government, when we come in 2025, it will be difficult because sometimes they say justice delay is what? Justice denial. Some of these corruption issues and other things, the evidence and other things will be tampered with. And so if they are committed in doing it, then they should let us see the action.
But before you go, you know, like Boateng said that President Mills was investigating President Mahama for corruption. You didn't answer that.
I think, to be fair to me, you being a journalist yourself, a very high standard and professor, of course, this is the first time you are hearing it. And for that matter, I think same to apply to Prof. Doc. And so he's the only one who knows this source of information. And we all know that if commissions or whatever are made by or set up by the president or ministers alike, it is made public and everybody knows it. So maybe if it was only communicated to Boateng after or by the ghost of Professor Mills, then he should be able to tell us, because I don't know where he's coming from with these facts, and I cannot defend this at all.
Okay. Boateng, my main deal final, you know, me call a prof on them, and I'm because yes, I people will talk over. Prof, what are your final thoughts on fighting corruption, saving the money? We could use that money. I think the last time I met Dr. Sako they cry about even oil and gold in Kwan. We saw 4.8 or 48 billion just being airlifted from Ghana to a foreign countries, just like that. This is just for extractive industry. Other sectors will come by. So what is the ultimate goal? What ultimate to achieve maybe a person economy, reducing corruption, using the money for our people?
Yeah, some of the things that we need to do, we should do that separation, right? The separation between policy formulation and policy implementation. That is one thing. Then we should stop appointing people through a political lens. Appoint people based on merit, right? Let them go there and do the job based on merit, not appointing them with a perspective, say, okay, you know what? We have to put this person in this particular place. And when you put this person in this particular place, we are going to get our people to get this contract and this contract and this contract. So these are the little things that we can do, right? Gradually to try to stop the inflows that goes outside, because the inflows is huge, right? If you are able to curb the inflow and deal internally by separating what policy formulation, policy implementation, because the policy implementation, we know you can hold them accountable, right? But it's a policy formulation that you cannot hold accountable. Do that separation and appoint people who are based on merit, not from a political lens. If you are able to do that, we should be fine. You look at Accra, for example, you see a road constructed. It rains 2-3 days, and the road is gone. And you be like, what really happened? Right? Who is supposed to be held accountable? You go to urban roads, and for all you know, maybe the chief director is not even aware of this sort of roads. Let's try to make a clear distinction. Political leaders make the policy formulations. Lead the Democrats or the bureaucrats to implement it. And when you're appointing people, appoint them based on merit, not from a political lens. These little things, if we are able to do, right, we could become very developed in a few years.
But Prof, is leadership part of this thing? Because people have said that depending on the leader, will choose. That's why somebody sent a message that he thinks Kennedy Japan is the one who, among the candidates who have shown up in MPP, is the one who can fight this. Lawyer Yusuf said Mahama can do this now that he's staging a comeback. Do you see among any, I'm not saying you should mention them, but do you see among so far those whose names have come up trying to contest for president, is there anybody who can do what you are talking about, separation and all that? Do you see anybody?
You just mentioned two names, right? Let's go back historically and look at the actions of these people, right? And make a determination whether they will have the political will to do this separation. They will not look, don't forget that party financiers are there choking government, right? Party communicators are there, they are choking government, right? So this is the problem that we have. We have to be able to look at things realistically. That, you know what? Corruption is a developmental issue. Money that is meant for development goes into the pockets of private individuals. Let's have a conversation as a country, right? Let's bring in people who are qualified to do their job. Let's not appoint people just because of political affiliations. Let's not appoint people and give them contract because look at school feeding, right? If NPP comes to power, school feeding goes to NPP what? People, right? And what do you see? If NDC comes to power, contract goes to NDC people. But how long are we going to be doing these things? These are national policies. So why don't we get people who have the capability to do these things? Rather than playing it around, oh, this 4 years, SHS is 4 years, then another person can make it 3 years. Why are we doing these things to our own selves? Right? If we look at corruption from a developmental issues and we see the harm that is doing to us, let's try to have a national dialogue, right? And say, you know what? You can be in the NDC, NPP is in power, right? If you have the merit, you have the capability, just go in and do the job. Because you are talking about the West. They have built their democracy for over 400 years, right? And it has been brought to us. And look at the way we are denigrating it, right? Some of us who teach over here, I was teaching environmental politics and environmental politics, and I was showing them Galamsey sites in Ghana, and they'll be like, where is this?
Your American students, they are American students.
The point is that the state has monopoly over the use of force. So if the state has monopoly over the use of force, how come that private individuals, right, are in some forest doing something? What is the state doing about it? So they'll be like, it doesn't make sense to them, right? Because the state has all the resources. It is only the state can force you to do things that you don't want to do.
Okay, but that's what Lawyer Boateng was telling us initially, that it's not as simple as that, because yes, the state has the resources, but people are mining at night. That's one too is true. During this Galamsey fight, the thing that we observed was that people were mining at night. During the day when they saw the government of the security forces coming, they would hide. And there were also cases where people were corrupting the soldiers, they were paying them. You know,
but that is where the problem is. Yeah. That is where the problem is, right? But if the government has all the resources, how can somebody go into the forest and be mining at night? Doesn't government have more resources than a particular person?
Okay.
Government is the only actor in our political system that has monopoly over the use of force. Government can operate at any time. So therefore, we should not.
Government really has the power, the commitment to deal with these issues we are raising. They can do it. So it's
if they themselves are not involved.
Okay.
If government is not involved, why should government have a problem?
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Going into the forest, whether it's 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m., why should government have a problem doing that?
Okay. Okay. The ball is in your court. So you have, I don't know the number of days, but you have between now and 2024, December, and even the announcement of the results, or even January. You have up to January to make a difference. So far, what would you say?
Yes, Miniaba, let me take it from maybe a prof with the agree. Yes, I buy a war the prerogative for the use of the state's coercive powers. But yenim your system na you woman. If some few minutes ago na minia lawyer kase ya shinkro for excavators any adie to de bia in fact ye wa ha Rajon Dramani Mahama catcher aban say yinya see the soldiers tata illegal miners no, and it was all for political advantage. It's one way now we are buying. Na when sinkete wadwunim na ma batoɔ no hunu na wo a wa hwe ya wo nyɛ hwe nti yankofo yi a bibi no yankofo yi na aban ejina ni tumi so no yɛ ya na yɛbɛka sɛ ebei
la na mente unka. I think I don't know if there's a problem with your system, but mente unka sisia nti fix your microphone ni mame Seidu say I say be me hwa mo live work in Tampo Hospital lawyer you see if their channel say been doing for or more appreciated the oya man no Solomon teaching us digitization no not necessarily prosecution of is the way of corruption is the way to fight corruption and we can deal with it to I'm so say no they should rather focus on dealing with people lawyer mami tell
yes nti minuaba to manfo ni nyina yebetumi asigina ye bi ne yehunu se de ekoso no emwa ye ne aboa ban a eno no ne beboa na aban ni abere na ye de resources ewura mu training soldiers e de wo mu ekowura mu ni nyina ye ka o ka ye de ma wo mu emra ye ko parliament akɔhye ene ade ni nyina ye sika na wo ye we nyina na another political party na machire ka tire wo se mo de mo nto aba mame se me ba ejuma no munko na munko ye ma muntwe instructions from obia munko na munko ye ani ekoye anase ye bae nti se sankofo no ane umbegina no mkasa aban nye hwe ya na chese wa uhunu se asem no ne kan ye kana na mum MPP de we are very firm in our minds ye pese ye na afei wo man no so resources kakra ye boaboa no ye bo ho ban minu aba ebere bi atwa mu na oman sikai na ekodididi nkrofo bi ho ene yesi e de hwe nkwala no school wa winim free education cost ebo aban ye sika anya yi nyina free education ka ho enso yesi eye se no ye de betoto cars ya ma university for ma bi e de asisi dan ya mama e ma bi de ye mfa hwe nkwala no school eye ye de bewura nkwala no school num ewie ni anya sika bi akora anya hwe ya at least eno no eye programmer resonating with equity anu di obia enya so emfaso minu aba wo behunu se ye ne ba ya ye se obi ye minister no ye MP a ye tua oka baako ye ntua oka mienu ye ma one salary se bire bi ye twemu na nkofo gigi 2 e wa ban bi ye twemu na omo se ye nsanfo mo mra no aban bi ye twemu a wo no na leverage ye 10
okay na unia Yusuf kind know say double salary mo kan ya you have not been able to prosecute one soul.
Oh, miniaba isti eniema ne bebre wo ho no mu a
what happened to that case?
eniema ne bebre ho a ye ni akiri miniaba se onim se the parliament yesi ayi eniema ne bebre wo a for certain reasons ene se enkoye se afi kura de wu chesi nkrofo bi omo nso e ka the parliamentary machinery no ho na akoye se aban no kura se oduebo ti eto da bi a uhu no akeka kakra ohunu sa na manyo no to the be na afa akoye enye bibia na
scratch your back
that is not the case but minu aba say see ano unim say the parliament no SCIA
salary no patrotio time amunya double salary issue no na mu ni slim majority to say na one person pay no so if indeed na more evidence na besi na not one started prosecution impo not even one
minu aba ye koye amuambeka si eduebo Mwamba kasa afedi opposition no wo mu nyina ye pese ye do mu tum ye be ka se afedi parliamentarians ye pese o ye do mu nyina tum se de be parliament o be MPP fo nko an de betena ye nkofo ye be ka wo huru enti minu aba to de bia ya na saa na akwakoye de ye bia se ye de bebo sika no ho ban no ye de bo sika no ho ban na de meka twato any obi ono watena ba mu pen no woko no so opeso osaba no ya to aba 2016 na 2017 wo ba be free akonya so few days to so be free akonya so afen wo sign 58% of bauxite ye wo Ghana e dia ma extinct cubic ye nyina enim extinct cubic ye ne dia yenim few days afen wo sign Kita oil basin it is worth 350 billion or they ma heritage oil ye nyina mu say won say heritage oil no ho adia na nka unim say dwadie bi say wo ho e be boa wo ma no na atena wa de to abati awo a wo free abam few days ya wasesa wo ne ma wo ko e na wo sign sa contract we e de me ma wo nuanom na se say nipa we be gina oka so no ba be fight corruption ne yen san fa ne mra e de Ghana fo asem sebe
okay mamina say lawyer Boate no MPP communication team member or say lawyer just politicians and how they corruption discussion when they do maybe on him. No, my frustrated kakra because like it's the same things and I met it over and over and over for more than 20 years. I hear the same thing when the two is so, and we are still stuck at 43% corruption perception index, and it's sad. So we must be able to go beyond that. Because we can't continue to be like this. Now they be about complaining, and so the problem is around our neck. But mame, and now I say, concerns in Binduri Meboa, like you see.
Yes, but Naka may per se may react briefly because I think
just 30 seconds because your time now soon.
Yes, this Lawyer Boaten's second time of repeating the last minute contract signings that the Mahama administration made to what's the name, the younger brother. Yes, we should not lose focus of the fact that.
So you are admitting that the contracts were signed to President Mahama's
Oh yes, really have a fact. His admission will not even matter.
What is wrong with that?
Public knowledge.
What was the illegality there? He's a lawyer and he knows when the thing went to court for the first time, the man won.
Well,
he won the case. And
he lost in the final.
When they come to the judiciary, I don't meet myself and him. We know what we I don't want us to go there. So let's leave it. And coming back to Ibrahim Mahama, this is a man of with international reputation when it comes to. But now this is the very man. After all this while, he has come back to open the biggest cement factory in the country. Is that not true?
You see, President Mahama is free akonya so. Tade be tiam na free akonya so no the Ghana Japade be mani nuanom. Na wo busa se illegality be na wo ho a ene me jama Ghana fo no. Ya ye tie wo no se be yenso agenda ye kiri. Nti ye jama Ghana fo.
That is why Beam Lady rightly pointed it out to you that you have now till even 7th January before you even hand over power. And all those Mahama has the power to do it. Was it not within his regime to do that? Yes, it was within his regime to do that.
And when Ghana for that, was it right that he gave?
What was wrong with it? It was right.
Ghana for that,
it was right.
Yeah, that's it.
Right that he gave it to his brother.
No, he gave it to his brother. How? He said he mentioned the contract sum. He did not just give it to me, take it because you are my brother.
Okay.
Was that the case?
Okay.
You did not give it to your brother. You canceled those contracts and brought in the Chinese. You exchanged at your forest. All the mineral resources there for them. What have you used it for?
Okay.
You said they were going to.
Ibrahim was giving the concession. His company, he's Ghanaian. The money
He's
would have
Ghanaian. He was qualified for it.
He was qualified for it. And against the Ghanaians who are going to take the money away.
Exactly.
I can confidently say, Ura John Dramani Mahama, and you know our Perena was Adebano. You know, in the entire Woba. You know, no contract, no idea, Chiamin and Fria Bemua. But since I the man, no. Say, Minia loyalty, I say, oh, who anything wrong? See a 2 Betia Mampeni. Now, dear Betia Muako, a fair now since I a whooping 58% of bauxite, it is worth $300 billion. Now what the Ama company ya wunia dia. Now what's I sign another $350 billion. E the Ama another company no so ya wunia for fraud dia. Adie betiam we free abemu. Na sebi senkade wo ye no nkeya. Ye wo ye no nkeya. Enka betra konya so ko anya dada kopim time a wo free abemu. na minim say Owura John Dramani ma no nko nim say obesa aba ma Ghana fo ato aba na sa de no nko onye ti se no ti ne wo sa aba say wo be sita Ghana fo japade di ama ni nua no ne nabusuafo a eno de mi nua ba bi jama Ghana fo so Owura John Dramani ma so di suba we na ebe fight corruption a ene e jama Ghana fo
about Ibrahim Mama, including your own one of your presidential aspirants.
Please, I am surprised. I'm surprised that you are
poison. Ibrahim Mama is still a free man working on the streets of Ghana, doing his lawful business.
Thank you so much, Lawyer Yusuf. Thank you so much, Prof. Thank you so much for the discussion. You was sending a message. We appreciate you so much. Me shamo boss Wednesday. Mama will be a link no be join not share wagging on Ghana because Ghana no Ghana for any politicians and lawyer a Kwabna Boatin a Joseph vice chairperson or say a member of MPP woman communication team now lawyer Yusuf Mahmoud as we parliamentary candidate ma NDC for Binduri and you also on one any more echo Professor Benjamin Akwe a lecturer political science and international relations Connecticut State University America broach memo no boy more church say democracy dey I'm a boy Africa because and yet democracy said the tiwa broach no sa na practice no esno yen entinka yen star no enye democracy na ya antie na ye democracy ya de ane ka ene ye bebo saa kosi last minute abuta for me na mase se mu nyina mo join the discussion oje no jama me read you message no ebi mu de na menti me read timo obo aten na obi fire na o kan wa dwen no but timo abotre thank you so much Kwame Kobe Daniels was say I like your submissions Professor Okwe ade na waka no because anhwe ni ye na ya anye discussion ni say be hard you know see these are the people if you are radio stations TV stations they will say you do omo ba na omo be boa Wafaya boa 7 year boa wa London wafaya da si bebre every day bia o join here nana ya very much thank you so much also Dubai and na o join here from Dubai Zigman ewo YouTuber of Vim Lady Online Zigman say Vim we are not serious and not ready to fight corruption yen Ghana for na kasa kra no we are too corrupt to do anything ebutafo yakopon shaye nyina no ma adepa enchi en good night say wa join here enwumre yakopon ya adma Wednesday Malaysia ewo jaso asidan koma me production team Mr. Kojo Hansen DOP